Everything you're about to hear is for entertainment purposes only. Listen, have some fun, but don't ever do, believe, or promote anything they say. They're idiots.
Guys, hold up. You should know, this ain't for everybody. Welcome to Savagely Loud.
I like that.
What's happening, people? Guys, check this out. I was doing internet. What's happening, people? Guys, welcome back to the show for the people that understand the facts. Divided by feelings equals failure. And this is never going to be more true than it is today. I'm Cliff. I'm your host. And I'm joined today and always by Big Dave Anderson, the Big Bad Viking. I've got Laura doing the comments. That's my wife. That's Mrs. Savage. I know a lot of you people have been asking me to do an interview show with her to see what it's like to be married to me. We might just do that. I'm also joined by Troy Lilly, the Motley Croc Show, the absolute assassin of truth, and then I've got the real Huckleberry, where the E in "the" is a 3. That's a tongue twister, my man, but we love you for it. Oh, who's ready to do this? Who's ready to get into some spiritual warfare?
Well, hello, everybody coming in. Now, real quick, regardless of what app you're on, if you guys are on Facebook, you know what to do. Find your favorite emoji at the bottom right and tap it in. If you got emojis on your screen, you tap it. There's an arrow on your screen, you share it. You put it on your story, you put it on your profile, you send it everywhere. Everybody remember, be respectful, okay? This is a matched energy group, all right?
Yes, it is. And let me start off the show by saying, for everybody, to everybody, this is not going to be an attack show. This is going to be a truth show, because there have been so many attacks. Spiritual warfare is just reigning over the internet right now. All of us here have been a victim of it, and you know we've got to talk about it. We're gonna break this stuff down, because you know that there's people of every faith, of every walk of life, of every path of spirituality that have something negative about them that they want to project onto others as if they're it's not their problem. We're here to break this down. We're here to see if we can unite in some sort of fashion. But in order to do any of that, we've got to get to the truth of things. So we've got people here that are pagans, Norse pagans. We've got people here that are still like Huck. He's finding his journey. We've got Troy, who does his thing, and everything is different here. But we've all been in this whole big battle. So we're gonna break this shit down. We're gonna get really real about shit. It's going to get emotional at times. There may be some digs thrown at each other. There might be some digs thrown across the arena at certain religions. And there is also going to be some truth that you may register as a dig at religion when it's really just the truth. And if we want to, as a people, because I truly believe that as people of this country, especially in other countries, let them fucking worry about them. But in this country ourselves, I truly believe that somewhere deeply rooted in all of us, there is a unity, a unifying factor. We've just got to work at figuring it out. And if we don't figure that out, we're never going to get anywhere. But in order to figure that out, again, we've got to get to the truth of things, because people of all religions are saying this and that and the other thing. We've got religions, people within the same religion that are fighting each other, saying, that's a fake Christian. That's a real Christian. I'm a real Christian. You're a fake Christian. I'm a real pagan. You're a fake pagan. I'm this, I'm that. We've got to break this down. We've got to get into it, and we've got to figure this shit out.
Absolutely. But we got to keep emotion. You guys have to remember that you have to remove some sort of emotion from it, because a lot of people allow words. Words are only words until you put emotion behind them. Okay, people said just embrace the knowledge. Everybody should want to gain wisdom. That should be the ultimate goal in life, is to gain knowledge. I think we lost Brother Troy.
We lost Troy.
Oh no.
Nope, there we did.
You didn't lose me. I'm just looking at stuff that I have to, I want to make sure I have with me. I'm just behind it, just doing it.
Yeah,
so. Absolutely.
I'm still here. I heard you.
And when it comes to emotion, it all comes back to my intro of the show that I say every single show. facts divided by feelings equals failure. If we all want to fail collectively, then let's start inputting all of our feelings into everything. There is going to be some emotion. There's going to be feelings attached to things, but the truth is what we're actually here to seek.
Absolutely.
Yeah, knowledge is what it's all about. Wisdom and everything. I mean, we're not here, like you said, Cliff. We're not here to attack anybody. We're not here to, hate with hate, whatever. We're here to bring the truth. And this is stuff I'll be the gasoline. Just let me light the match.
And like I said, feel free to ask your questions. Laura's going to put them on the screen. We're going to do our best to catch them. And like I said, let's just all try and have a little fun and gain some knowledge tonight.
And for everybody on the show, if you see a comment that you come across that I'm not paying a lot of attention to the comments, to be honest with you, I'm looking at the camera. If there's something that comes across and you want to address it, stop the show. Just say, hey, I want to address that. We'll get that comment back up. And here's this one. I hope that doesn't come off rude. Please show me some facts that what you're saying is true. No offense, just asking. And that's totally fine. That's totally
Absolutely.
Great. That's what we're here to do. We're here to get into the truth behind these religions. We're here to get into the truth of how we all feel about it. And we're here to get into the truth of what path we should all be on. And I'll spoil that one. The path that we should all be on is the one that we feel in our hearts guides us the best way to lead us to being a good human being to our neighbors. If that's Christianity, fantastic. Stop throwing it in people's faces. If that's Norse paganism, fantastic. Stop throwing it in people's faces. That kind of shit, okay? So all questions are welcome. And I do appreciate the preface of saying that you're not trying to be rude. Because as you guys know, anybody that's watched my show, if I see some rude shit come down here, I will fucking destroy you. I promise you.
Absolutely. And I just had a raven land on my window. Oh, I just want to say I did.
Odin's watching.
Man. Odin's with you, man.
He said, I've been waiting all week for this.
Gentlemen. All right.
Huguenot Reunion's going to go back.
The whole thing that's been happening, let's start here. If you're on the internet, you have probably noticed that there seems to be a giant spiritual war happening right now. Christians are attacking everybody. The Satanists are attacking everybody. We're going to air quote that one because there's so many different denominations of all of everybody. Pagans are attacking everybody. Buddhists, Hindus, fucking, Islam, Jews, everybody's attacking everybody. And the reason for the attacks is because everybody believes that everybody should be believing what they believe. And if you don't, that makes you wicked, twisted, and evil. It's simply not true.
No.
Can everybody agree with that assessment?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
100%. 100% agree with you.
What's up, brother? Troy, you got something?
Troy doesn't.
Troy,
Just listening. I'm just listening to what you're saying. No, I think
I
actually think what Cliff said is absolutely true. There's nothing that to wait for. I think what he said is accurate. I think everybody puts these simplicity things in their mind and they shut down and they get in their little box and they ruin a lot of things for people because if it doesn't matter what it is, you can take a religion out of the equation. If Cliff wants to get you into working on cars or, anything that you have a profession, are you going to start with the most mundane, terrible stuff and shove it up their ass before you show them anything good? No. You're just going to take them in and you're going to explain, hey, this is how it goes. Look at this. This leads to this. This leads to this. This makes this go fast. But if you're like, oh, you drive this? Oh, well, you're just a piece of shit if you're not driving that. That right there is where people take into religion, and they shouldn't. I don't think anybody should do that to somebody. Well, and I know people feel passionate, Cliff, about what their faith is, and that's great. But ramming it into someone and telling them that they're wrong, and 9 times out of 10, I hate to say this, it's usually a person that isn't as educated as the person that they're directing it to.
There's a lot of truth about that because you got to remember that you are very diverse. So are all of you guys. You're very diverse in a variety of religions and ideologies. And most people are only one-sided because we were raised to be one-sided. And I think that's what we're trying to break tonight is that barrier.
Well, see, I mean, I haven't always been pagan. I grew up in a Christian household. I had to go to church. I had to go through confirmation and all that stuff. I had to convert when I got married to my wife to Greek Orthodox. But for me, like, it was just, even when I was at a young age, church for me never like really.
No.
To me, I didn't feel like I fit in. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It was just I always had that calling, and it wasn't until probably about over 15 years ago where I finally answered that, and I started following this path. And for me, it's been the best thing that I've ever done.
Right.
But I mean, I grew up in that household where we had to go to church, we had to do everything, and go to the Sunday school and all that stuff. So
I was an altar boy, Dave.
You altar boy?
No, it's not a sin, my son. That's why altar boy's hair's parted in the middle. It's not a sin. It's not a sin.
Now, if he came out here with
a joke, people.
If you came out here with the robe and stuff like that, I'd be a little like, okay.
I used to wear that, singing the bells, swinging the smoke.
So, and now that Dave, you've shared a little bit of history, let me share some of my history with people, because I've got a checkered past as well. When it comes to religion, God was not allowed in my house. My dad would say God, openly, he's sitting this one out, motherfucker. Like, he wasn't allowed in my house. So growing up as a child, I didn't have a religious figure. I mean, my grandma was Irish Catholic, and she was the greatest person in my life. But even then, she would even say, my faith is for me. If you want to know about my faith, ask me and I'll tell you. She never shoved it down my throat. So I kind of wandered. And then as I grew up a little bit, out of the child stage, I found Norse paganism, or paganism as back in the day, it was really just not labeled, because there's Celtic paganism, there's Norse paganism, there's all sorts of stuff. Paganism is really just a broad spectrum term for non-Christian. That's really what it is. Yeah. And as I moved into my hate, so for everybody that doesn't know my history, I'm very open about this. I was a hate monger. I was a skinhead. I was the Nazi, that guy. I was the guy that everybody hated, all that. Well, I discovered paganism. But I was neo-Volkish paganism. So there's different parts of paganism, or different sects of paganism. And one of the sects of paganism is Reconstructionist. Reconstructionist, the way I can relate it most to Christians, I have found the most efficient way is to say that they're like the Baptists, the Southern Baptists. The Reconstructionists are the ones that want everything the way it was in the old world. And there's very staunch laws about what you got to do, what you got to be, how you got to think, how you got to practice. Well, neo-Volkish is an extension of that, because it adds a racial factor. It adds a racial purity factor. Now, this is not a typically accepted pagan practice. In fact, in 2016, the entire world pagan fucking organizations, they all banded together and they actually denounced neo-Volkism. They denounced the neo-Volkish set of paganism, because for pagans, it's not about race. It's not about color. It's not about where you came from. It's not about being born into it. It's about finding the path that suits you. And if this is that path, anybody can practice it. So when I did that, I got out of it, and then I struggled. I didn't, some people need a religion. Some people need a moral compass. I didn't have that compass. I struggled. And then I got into Jesus. I got into Christianity, and I tried for years and years and years to become Christian, to feel Christian. Let me say, because I never felt properly Christian. I never felt like Jesus was really looking after me, because that's why I moved to paganism so early, because I figured everybody around me was telling me that God gives you your life. Well, he gave me the worst life that I could ever imagine. So I had a vendetta against him. So I moved into these other paths. But as I became an adult, I struggled trying to become Christian. I tried to, believe in God and Jesus, and I tried to learn. I tried to read the Bible, and there was things in the Bible that I couldn't wrap my head around, how people were preaching this, and I didn't feel good. And one of the biggest ones, one of the biggest problems that I took as a reformed Nazi, okay, because I'm not in that life. I haven't been in that life for 25 years. As a reformed Nazi, I hit, and I'm going to read this to you. I hit a passage in the Bible, a part of the scripture, that I couldn't get behind, because I had struggled so difficultly to get away from the life of hate. I saw this and I couldn't wrap behind it. And it's Ephesians 6:5-9. And this is how you're supposed to own slaves, and how your slaves are supposed to act. Let me read this. It's very short. Ephesians 6:5-9, New International Version. Slaves, obey your earthly masters with respect and fear, and with sincerity of heart, just as you would obey Christ. Obey them, not to win their favor when their eye is on you, but as slaves of Christ, doing the will of God from your heart. Serve wholeheartedly as if you were serving the Lord, not people, because you know that the Lord will reward each and every one of you, or each and every one, for whatever good they do, whether they are slave or free. And masters, treat your slaves in the same way. Do not threaten them, since you know that he who is both their master and yours is in heaven, and there is no favoritism within him. That was one of the passages that I couldn't get behind, because I had believed that so wholeheartedly. I spent a lot of my I wasted a lot of my life believing that slavery was good. Most people should be slaves, this and that and the other thing. And I worked really fucking hard to get out of that life. And then to read that in the book that everybody was telling me that I was supposed to put all of my faith in was a problem for me. So that was one of the hiccups in my struggle with Christianity. And like I said, I couldn't get behind it. I never felt truly welcomed in Christianity. I never felt truly welcomed by Christians, because no matter what I did, it always seemed wrong. So I explored other faiths. I gave up faith altogether. I did the whole vendetta against life. I got a death wish. I said, fuck it. If all of every God that ever existed doesn't want me here, I'm going to live my life in a way that takes me off this earthly realm as fast as fucking possible. I got into drugs, hate, all that shit. But then when I got back into paganism, and Dave was the one that actually reintroduced me to Norse paganism as we know it today, which most people will refer to as modern paganism, I found a home. I immediately felt like I was home. And it wasn't because of it had anything to do with what I believed so many years ago. It just called to me because I have spent my entire life as a beaten child, always seeking wisdom and to try to figure out why my life was like this, why my dad hated me, why he beat me half to death. I always seeked out wisdom, and that was another problem for me in Christianity, because the root of Christianity is wisdom being forbidden. That is a problem for me. So that's a brief summarization of my story, but that's why I associate so deeply with Norse paganism, because anybody can do it. It's all about seeking wisdom. I personally love the idea of a pantheon of gods. If anybody doesn't know what pantheon means, it means there's a lot of gods. We have both male and female gods, because in this life, as we know it in modern society, women offer a lot to the world. Women offer a lot to men. Women are, dude, I've openly admitted this. Laura is my second wife. My kids came from my first wife, and maybe we might not get along that well. We're communicable, we're amicable, whatever. And we work together for the kids. But if it wasn't for her, my kids would have died, because I had no fucking idea how to raise kids. I'd never been around a baby until I had one at age 23. They would have died. If it wasn't for a woman, my own children would have perished. So if I look at modern society and I see all these great things that women offer, and I understand that there's arguments against it, there's arguments against everything. That's not what we're here to do. But when I look at modern society and I see the greatness that women offer this society, I immediately start wondering, why aren't the gods female? Why can't there be female gods? If all of this nurturing happens, because men are the providers, women are the nurturers. Without the balance, everything goes to shit. And we're seeing that more and more in modern society. As women try to become men and men try to become women, everything gets skewed. And everywhere that happens the most, it gets fucked up. So if there's a balance there given to us at birth, why not embrace that? And why not think that was embraced thousands and thousands of years ago?
And you know what, Cliff, I just want to touch on one thing. I mean, what you just said and how, finding your way back with Norse paganism and all that stuff. What I find is a lot of stories, what a lot of people that I've talked to about this is exactly what you're saying, what I'm saying. And the great thing about it is that there's no wrong way of doing it.
Right.
You can
do it with the way your heart feels.
Right. And it's all about your character and the person that you are.
Yeah.
So,
Troy, you got some background about yourself, brother? I had to open the gates a little bit, baby. I had to open the gates a little. That's what I've been waiting. Go ahead.
I mean, again, I think I was just listening to Cliff, and I'm actually was processing a lot of what he said. I obviously grew up in an era of the Satanic Panic. I was born in the 70s, so in the middle of the 70s, I entered the planet, and I think that what is it? There's a book just was written up there. It's funny to me because I never viewed religion as something that I had to partake in. Like we were forced into things like that as a kids, especially at that time. And so I think there were a lot of inquisitive minds. And if you remember, religion is very similar to like if you're in a school or a classroom, if there's somebody a little bit smarter than the teacher, they usually beat them down. And they try to make everybody equal. And, back then, you got to start with the 1950s up through the 80s. If you went to school in the 80s, from the 1950s to the 80s, they were making good little consumers, right? And there were slight shifts. So another way to do that, there was a structure. They always talked about the separation of church and state, and that's great. But like I never could understand why we had to say, pledge allegiance to the Lions flag under God or whatever, because what God are you referring to? Because that would start fights. It would always start a fight. Well, it means this God. Well, how do you know it does? And it was like, it's ridiculous. You should be able to pledge allegiance to your flag as a patriot without adding a deity. And I saw earlier in the comments that somebody said it very well. I love life, this and this. My deity is Jesus. And I like the way that's put because this is a big playground and everybody's welcome to it. You can worship whatever you want or not worship at all. And to be honest with you, I study religions because they intrigue me on how many times they have resurfaced and regenerated each other just with a different name. The Bible was a little bit different. I've looked into a lot of religions, and let's not take that. A lot of people think that being a Muslim is a religion. That's a theology. That's not a religion. It's a theology, and that has to be corrected a lot of times. Well, I don't like that religion, a Muslim. Well, it's not a religion. It's a theology, right? Absolutely. So, but the older book, the Torah, is where they talk about a lot of terrible things. Like, really, women were just there. Basically, They were a step above slaves. They really didn't have anything to say.
Yeah.
Right. They were just, you're there for a job. We run everything. Fuck you. So that's where the whole, and God said this, and he said gays are bad and they're abomination. God never spoke that at all. I try to tell people, please go back to your Bible and read what people are saying God said. That's like me coming on here saying, well, Dave said or Cliff said, and making it a gospel. And to me, I think you really need to go back and perceive yourself. And a lot of times I have to tell people, everybody looks at the Bible as one book. It's not a book. It's 66 books, 1,600 years. Okay? And we also have the Dead Sea Scrolls, and there's a lot of stuff in there that wasn't put in for control reasons, right? Absolutely. Like, we can't give the public too much understanding of this or we've lost control, right? So back then, that to me, in my opinion, it's just my opinion, that was just a modern day form of government, right? Yeah. And I still deal with people today, it's 2026, and they still believe that there's people in the sky that kill their family because they're being tested, or people in the sky that do this. That's just, to me, just doesn't make any sense. We're here. This is our experience. Maybe God stuck us here. And I said to someone the other day, I said, how do you know we're not all gods in training, right? How do you know that we are not a God in training? Now, there's a lot of different types of faiths out there and stuff, but in my belief system, I'm my own God right now. And everything I do, and I can take it back to the Bible, that with the faith of a mustard seed, you can move mountains. It didn't say with the faith of me. And really the Bible only said, in order to be saved, you just have to believe in Jesus. You don't have to go to church. You don't have to hate anybody. You don't have to kill anybody. You don't have to burn down you don't have to do any of that. You don't have to make fun of a religion that's 10,000 years older than yours. You don't have to do that. So for me, it's about who you are. I know each and every one of you are different. And even when Huck's journey was Christian, and he tell me every day, man, God's showering me with all this good stuff. I'm like, it's great. You know what I mean? But some people are getting fucked in the ass today while you're telling me that. And they're praying for it to stop. Someone's getting raped. There's a child being molested. And what kind of testing is that? So if God intervenes and Right now, while we speak, there's some adult person raping a child. I want you to think about that. Where's God?
Right.
Right? Well, the Bible says children are innocent. So why is he not stepping in? But he's going to step in and save one because you prayed for it? Or no, the world is evil. And what I think religion is an excuse to make people not be responsible for their actions, to me. That's how I feel. I'm not talking about what Cliff or Dave follow. I'm not talking about understanding, the wars of the gods and having some honor and dignity and supporting your family, your troop, your women. That's not what I'm speaking about. I'm speaking about, like, I can do all this and then go to church and it's all good, right? I can say, I love this wonderful being up here, this dimensional being up here that does all this, but I can do this because whatever. And they go, well, Troy, you're just a sinner. And until you get out of the sinning state of mind. Well, first of all, sin is a made up thing, right? My idea of doing something wrong is different than somebody else's idea, right? So everything you do is a sin, but sin is made up. I don't even believe in the word. It doesn't have anything to do with it. Like, let's just, for example, let's take the word Lucifer. When you say that around people, like, I would name my dog Lucifer. Do you know what that means, Huck?
No.
Doesn't it mean light?
It means, yeah,
Light.
It was for the planet Venus. It comes from, the bringer of light, which is ancient Roman for Venus. But when you hear the word Lucifer right now, oh my gosh, it's this guy with a super black cape on, a pitchfork, and he's tossing people over the fire, and it had nothing to do with that. Satan, the word Satan, that was created in the Torah. That all simply was an adversary to my faith. So I tell these people sometimes when they're jumping at me, well, your Jesus was actually a Satan because he was a rival to the Jews and what they were trying to teach in the Torah. They hated him for that,
Yes,
right?
they did.
To me, I don't think they put a crown of thorns on that guy, beat his ass, and fucked him over and nailed him to a cross because he was saving sins. They hated him and they wanted to burn him as bad as they possibly could because he was changing lives on the planet in his existence. Okay,
Absolutely.
he was doing what we're supposed to do on the planet in his existence. He was trying to love people and teach not to hatred and to be understanding and have the mind open. But when you turn it into this big, now they've made Jesus a hater. It's people just don't want to be part of it because, and the ones that do, and I'm sorry, a lot of the strongest people in my life, and I'm going to say this because I know it hurts people's feelings. The strongest people in my life that are either of faith. They believe in God, the Trinity, Jesus Christ, Holy Ghost of God, right? The strongest people, they don't go to church. They don't congregate with a bunch of people that have to be like, oh, well, I'm just going to. No, they do it in the right way. They go out and they give back to the community. They donate money to people who need it. They run charities, similar to the way, the bikers are, as Cliff said, when they were doing it under the pagan rules, and they take care of their village and they go do biker events or whatever, and they raise money. That's what they're doing. These are not people that have to have a crutch. Like, they go from alcoholism to professional victim to finding God to holding on to God to shoving God up everyone's ass. That's the difference between what I consider they call themselves a Christian and actually having a faith that you follow and that you love. That's the difference to me. So, and these people are smart. I'm not saying, oh, if you're a Christian, you're a dummy. It's how you portray what you're trying to learn about. You're way too young in your faith to be out here killing everyone and hating on everyone, and killing emotionally is what I mean, or hating everyone because you read that something said, or some guy in a suit that's going to take money from you.
Yep.
Get in his Maserati tonight.
Yep.
Go take one out, just rub a few out on a hooker, do some cocaine, go home and kiss his wife to bed. And let me tell you something. I personally know pastors like that.
Yeah, so do I.
Personally. Okay?
Absolutely.
They think it's funny. They're like, bro, you should have been. Yeah, I probably should have. But I chose a different path in life, and I just don't want to do that because, again, I don't know what comes when my spirit leaves this body. So I'm trying my best not to be a complete piece of shit. I make mistakes, but I'm going to get there. I wouldn't hurt anybody on this panel. I'd be the first to depend. But if I did walk in and see a kid getting molested, I'm going to clean the house with them, dude. Completely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So God doesn't intervene, in my opinion, on this planet whatsoever. I don't care how much you pray. Praying is meditation, by the way. I hope everybody understands.
Meditation,
Absolutely.
manifestation.
That's all praying is.
It's
Praying is
not
for the
yourself.
man. Praying is for the man. It's not for God. It's for the man. I've always believed that. But again, it's my opinion. I don't want anyone to change. You follow whatever path leads you. Just don't hurt anybody or abuse them mentally. And we should all get along just great. Thank you.
Well, I associate what you said largely with the newly sober drunk analogy. How I always say, nobody likes the newly sober drunk, and what I mean by that is it's not drunk in just alcohol; it's everything. So it's, you know, you've gone through some issues, and you found something that you latched onto that was good, that was positive. It made you look back at your pathway to reach that point and understand how negative that pathway was. So because whatever this thing is, might be religion, it might be, you know, the local VFW bingo night, it might be whatever, but it brought you positivity. All of a sudden now you're all across the masses telling everybody they need to do it because it brought you light. That's not how it works. That's why nobody likes the newly sober drunk. Nobody likes the preacher, the guy coming out and preaching about how I found this thing and it's the most magical thing, and if you don't do it, you're missing out. That's what I mean by the newly sober drunk, and that's unfortunately a lot of what we see in Christianity right now. And this is why I separate Christians and what I call Jesus people. Jesus people are the people that believe in the word of Jesus, as we are told today. He was the light. He was the savior. He was the good. He was the one that didn't need you to be sin-free to come to him. He wanted the sinners. He wanted the prostitutes. He wanted the thieves. He wanted all these people to come to him so he could help them. And that's how it's supposed to be. But unfortunately now in modern society, Christianity is largely based on optics, is the fan club. The fan club is twisted. The fan club believes that you're supposed to be perfect or you can't be a Christian. Or if you're not perfect, you shouldn't be a Christian, when Christianity, as we know it by the word of Jesus, it's all about, you're supposed to welcome everybody and allow them their path and allow them to find their way. And if they ask you for help, you help them. And unfortunately, we've gotten to this dividing line where Christians believe if you're not Christian, you are evil. And there is no discussion to be had, when honestly, the best people I know on earth, some of them are Christian, some of them are pagan, some of them are Satanists, some of them are Buddhists. That's the way this works. I mean, I even know good Muslims, believe it or not, because I know
I know a
hot topic. I know good Muslims. I know a Muslim woman right now that refused to kill a colony of ants that was living under her house because something in their belief, which I don't know anything about. I only know what the social media tells me, about raping babies and all that shit, whatever. But she refused to murder she refused to get rid of the colony of ants under her house because she said that was murdering an entire civilization of living things. And her culture told her not to do that. There is good in everything and there is bad in everything. Absolutely. The bad comes when you become a zealot. When you take everything that you've learned and you twist it and remanufacture it into a method of control, that's the problem. And a lot of people will have heard me talk about Christianity in compare and contrast to paganism. I always say Christianity is nothing but paganism that was rewrapped with a couple of details changed so that man could control other man. Now, I will break this down really quickly if I can. What I mean by that is paganism predates Christianity in all forms, in many forms. It predates Christianity. And to sum this up, what happened was the Christians, when, the Jesus people were good people, but then the Christians came and they wanted control. So what they did is they especially in the Northern Crusades, they would traipse across the land and they would come across these pagan colonies that just operated well. There didn't need to be a king. There didn't need to be a pastor or a preacher or some sort of religious figure in there. Everybody just understood that you're supposed to protect your community, the people in your community. You're supposed to honor and respect women. You're supposed to honor and respect children. You're supposed to do everything as a community to build everybody's life into what they believe is comfortable and successful. Well, the people that twisted Jesus's word to make the church, because as I'm sure everybody can imagine, the church is different than Jesus, than the actual act of faith. You know what I mean? The church is what corrupted everything. So when the church took over, they would come across these villages that just worked and they didn't like it. So, and oftentimes they slaughtered everybody because they didn't like that religion didn't call for man to control other man. Everybody believed what their gods told them or what their heart told them. They didn't like that. So what they did is they took paganism, they removed all but one God, they removed the quest for wisdom, and they said, now your wisdom comes from above. Your only wisdom comes from above, comes from heaven. Any wisdom on an earthly plane is evil. That's what they did. So now they've got all these people praying to this, and then they go, yeah, but I don't hear the God. I don't hear this God you're talking about. So they appointed bishops and preachers and pastors and all these other things. And they said, this person hears God. And God only speaks through this person. So now you need to get your truth from him, which comes from on high. So now you've got a system of men controlling entire colonies of people. And that's when we look historically, that's when we see everything in humanity really taking a turn for the worse. When man took control of other man. And I'm not saying it's only Christians that did this, but it was largely Christians that did this. When we see man take control of other man en masse, we see the fall of civilizations.
No, we did. I mean, the medieval times. I mean,
Troy seen something, bro. Go ahead, man.
Go ahead, Troy.
Oh no, Dave, I'm just laughing at the comment. I don't want to attack anybody, man. I just think that.
No, but you have to address the comments.
I'm addressing them. I think I can't sometimes because
I understand that.
You have to understand. To some of these people here, they think it's their job to continually shove one specific religion in everybody's face and tell everybody else they're wrong. I've seen it 1,000 times in here already.
I've seen it my whole
Jesus,
life.
Jesus doesn't let you in the gates just because you met the quota of telling how many people they were wrong. That's just not the way it works.
And they're like, well, that's why you don't do this. That's why you only do this. And that. Look, I'll say it again. I have no idea, but everybody keeps saying, well, where'd pagans come from? Look, religion is upwards of 50,000 years old when we really started to develop governments, right? A lot of people don't understand about the sex cliff and why, Rome was burned down because Rome was ran by two homosexuals. And it was one of the most successful places in the world at that time. But all I have to say is your religion or what you follow is based on the era you were born on the planet. That could be 600 AD, it could be 1200 BC, we don't know, right? So wherever you are, whatever you're talked about is what you do. We don't know. I can't sit here and tell you, well, you're not going there, whatever your name is, Nathan, Patrick, whatever, Cecil, because you got it wrong. Who am I to say that? Just because, again, you took a chapter out of a book. Yes. And you pulled Torah from New Testament, I like I said, Cliff and I had a great discussion how the pharaohs were scared of Moses because he was a fucking wizard, right? There's documents on that before the Bible got a hold of this guy. Like they're like, no, in the Bible, he was found as a baby and he was in Jerusalem. No, motherfucker, he was found by the pharaohs in the river, and he did not resemble any other thing that they had ever seen. His skin was glowing. He had a different look about his eyes. He was doing shit way before he got into the Bible magic of turning staffs to snakes and splitting the Red Sea. We do know now by science that for some area there in that ocean, there are chariots in the bottom of that ocean. So I'm not going to say it didn't happen. Why the fuck are they there? I don't know. A Bible person, because Moses did it, because it was Moses. Probably was, but not in the context that you're shoving it up everyone's ass. But they don't ever go, hey, you know what? You're right. I've got my version of it in the Bible, but let me look and see where he came from for real. And how pharaohs were scared of him and pretty much all abolished him because he was more powerful than them. He could do things, right? So we just erased all of that.
Was Merlin real?
We erased all of it. He basically was Merlin. Like, is Poseidon real? We're living right now in a world. Cliff and I have such great conversations all day. If we could just have cameras on our conversation, right. We live now in a world where there's U.S. military men out on boats and huge ships and submarines. And there's fucking shit flying out of the water and entering the water at any given time, it feels like it. And we have no idea what it is. Right? But you have people that go, oh, that's just all made up stuff. It could be. Or we have no idea what's in the ocean. And we don't know who started the planet. And like I was talking to Cliff earlier about Prometheus and how, humans brought different DNA to here and it kind of tied in with the flood and all that kind of stuff. And we've already proven that the water on the planet, so it's so hard when you understand facts versus like Star Wars, like, well, Darth Vader did this and Luke Skywalker saved the whole universe. Oh, did he? So at the end of the day, we already know that, yes, there was flooding. But the water never went above Mount Everest. And Mount Everest existed during the time of the flood. We know mountains get higher and lower. That's how it works over years, but never existed. So the entire planet was never fully flooded, just one area. Kind of like when earthquakes would hit one part of town and not the other. Or in Florida, back in the 1920s and earlier than that, when hurricanes would wipe out a whole town and they thought that they were like now Mad Max. The whole world was genocide. It was over. The earth killed everybody. God was pissed and wiped everybody out, even though it was just a couple miles wide and everybody else is functioning okay. Well, so we also have to take into context it was written.
People have to understand that people back then didn't have a view of the world as we have.
That's interesting, Brandy. Right there,
Brandy,
Cliff.
Can you put that one back up?
Yeah, grab that
God
one.
or is Thor Jesus? Actually, Odin is the All-Father, so technically that would be, if you want to look at it in Christian metaphors, Odin would be the All-Father, the God. Who would relate more to Jesus would be Balder.
Tyr. Oh, yeah, Balder. But there's an argument that Tyr was supposed to actually be in Odin's position.
Tyr was the original chieftain. He was. But there's so much text that has been lost over the years that historians are still trying to, there's an argument on that still to this day, even over thousands of years later, that Tyr was the original chieftain. But we take that out of the equation. If you look at it as Odin is the All-Father, then Balder would be the god of light, which would be more or less kind of like your Jesus, essentially.
So basically, what you're saying is Jesus was Balder, because that was first.
Yeah.
So maybe God came, whatever the creator is. I'm not saying anything at all like this. Maybe God came to every era the way he needed to appear to those people at that time he was there. Is that possible?
That's possible, and I would consider Thor with his strength, like I believe it's the Archangel Michael. I believe it is. I would consider.
Yeah, very good comparison.
I would consider that like the Archangel, one of God's warriors.
What I believe, I believe, based on what I know and what I've read, is that what Christianity did is they took all of the pagan gods and they combined them. Yeah. So, and they left out certain ones, like they left out Vidar, they left out Loki, they left out the mischievous parts, the vindictive parts, the vengeful parts, and they combined all of the greatness of all of the other gods. Because for anybody that doesn't know, Norse pagan gods are not like Jesus. Jesus is the all-knowing, all-doing. He's got all the power. In Norse paganism, Odin is tasked with, wisdom and war and magic, and then Freyr is the god of abundance, and they each have a certain task list that they are tasked, that's their responsibility. And what it really does sound like is they made Jesus is really the amalgamation of all the goodness of the pre-existing gods. And there were pre-existing gods. I know a lot of people. I'm sorry, I see a comment coming up here. Ant couldn't make it. Ant's got some previous. He remembered he had some previous engagements that he had to get to, so he just couldn't make it. Sorry about that, guys. I should have said that in the front of the show. But when it comes down to the gods, is I think that's what happened, is that they took all the goodness of the gods and they amalgamated it into this one entity, and it's kind of what it seems like to me.
Yep.
Huck, let's get into your past, because we've all got a little background out here, and we know your hair's parted in the middle for a reason. So
it's on the side, dickhead. Sad shit is it's been that way since I was a fucking altar boy. So just leave it alone. But no, I was raised Roman Catholic. Went through baptism, confirmation, communion, all of that. Altar boy, shoved down my throat. My one grandfather was a Lutheran. My other grandmother was a Catholic. My other grandpa was a Catholic. My other grandmother was an atheist. I'm pretty sure she didn't believe. But back then times were different. You could actually coexist with people who didn't think the same. Yeah. But I was in a household where it was like mom was treated like shit. I was smacked around, and it's just like, I'm getting the shit kicked out of me by people who tell me I got to go to church and be better. It's just like certain light bulbs didn't set in, but I went through the steps. I did everything I was told to do. Let me rephrase that. I did everything I was told to do, like most people in the world, because I've tried to explain to people before during my shows that indoctrination isn't just politics. Indoctrination isn't just sexual orientation. Indoctrination is religion as well. And people fail to realize, like I use this example in my live once before, where it's everybody's raised a certain way. You might have been raised in a Chevy family, Ford family, a Christian family. Okay. Family. You were told what you're going to drive.
Yep.
You were told what you're going to represent. You were told what you're going to believe, and you were going to told how you're going to eat. You're told how you're going to kneel. Like, you've just been told. You've never taken the steps to figure out what is it that you want. So for decades, I did the whole Catholic thing. I rebaptized as Christian, men's revivals. I stood in fields arguing with God, ready to fight whoever, and I ignored a deeper calling that just continued to gnaw at me, because I've always been intrigued with my ancestry. I always try to figure out who my biological father was, which that's a whole different story. You know what I mean? So it's like, I finally decided now that I was going to just gain knowledge. But that was due to the fact that for 46 years, I've had to listen to individuals tell me that I ain't shit. You're not good enough. Your language sucks. You smoke weed. Like, nobody ever sees the good that I do. They always want to point out what they deem as bad. Because, again, they were told it's bad. Whereas in other beliefs, other cultures, none of that's bad.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like people are literally told step by step since birth what they're going to fucking do.
Right.
And I wanted wisdom. And like I said, I'm in a family where it's like, I know my mom got smacked around. I know my stepmom got smacked around. You know what I mean? I know that shit fucking happened. And then I sit down with you guys and we start talking. I start turning off the instant trigger of like, hold on, man, you ain't gonna talk about my Jesus. No, let's talk about it. And I finally shifted brains to where it was like, okay, now we can absorb some shit. And then you start finding out that a whole lot of the similarities between religions. And then you start finding out the truth of what was covered up. And I'm supposed to sit here and take a book, like you guys said, where the woman is shit. The woman has shit. All Abrahamic religions, the women are shit. So I'm supposed to sit here, and I was raised in a life where I know the woman was getting smacked around. I was getting smacked the fuck around. But I'm supposed to side with that shit. But then it's like, why can't there be gods and goddesses and things like that? And that's when I started opening my mind up, and I was like, there has to be something else that's been calling me, which you and Cliff and I've had many conversations, Troy, you as well. You know what I mean? And it's like a light bulb turned on. And it's like, how the fuck am I supposed to support some shit that was literally taken, created, drove across the land, forced down people's fucking throat? You have to fucking think this way, or you will fucking suffer in hell for all of eternity. So I'm supposed to sit here and live in fear. And hey, spoiler alert, 90% of the Christians are going to burn in hell, biblically speaking. I hate to be that guy, but it is. None of us live to the book the way you guys say we should. None of us follow it to the fucking T. Okay? We're all damn sinners, but the problem I had was I was getting crucified by people that didn't own a fucking mirror. People that didn't look in the mirror. You're telling me I gotta change, but I'm watching you smack this fucker around. I'm watching you drink yourself stupid, eating pain pills, sleeping with a variety of men or women, whatever it is. But I'm the one who's got to change, right? I'm the one who has to bow to your shit, but you're not even bowing to your own shit. And that's when the change had happened, because I've been crucified repeatedly by the people that I tried to represent. But not one time was I ever crucified by any of these individuals in this lobby. Not once. Even when I went to his house rocking a cross. It didn't matter. Cliff didn't matter. I haven't met Dave yet, but it's coming. But he's never judged me. None of these people have ever attacked me except for my own people. How am I supposed to support some shit that's based on, just like your ancestors, shoving it down people's fucking throat until they submit? I don't submit.
Yep.
I'm not.
There was a great comment that just came up. Sorry, dude. Christos Jonides are no, they believe they can say sorry at the gates of heaven and he will let them in. That is one of the biggest problems with modern Christianity and anybody that is not part of modern Christianity. That's one of the things that everybody that's a non-believer, we're going to air quote that. That's one thing that we use against you greatly is that we see you, just as Huck said, we see you live your lives like shit. And you believe that if you just say, oh, yeah, sorry, dude, you created me this way. So I'm really sorry. I didn't realize that. And then you're going to get into heaven. And it goes back to what Troy was saying it's an escapism. It's an excuse, a reason, a validation to treat other people like shit because you just know you always have this get out of jail free card in your back pocket. And that's simply just not how it works. If you read the Bible, that's not how it works. You can't just march through life treating everybody like shit, casting judgment upon others, because I think, if I'm correct in this, isn't that one of the biggest fucking problems, to Jesus, was people casting judgment upon others? Something about a plank, something about a sliver, something about all that shit, he without sin cast the first stone, all that kind of shit. Yep. But yet that's what we see of the modern Christian. The zealotous modern Christian is it's nothing but judgment all the time, and it gives the good ones, because there are many, many good ones, it gives the good ones a bad look. It gives them a bad name. It's the same thing as white guys, okay? White people for the longest time, and I know anybody that's watched my shit has heard me say this. I am literally internet famous for saying it's getting really difficult to go for a walk, trip on a rock, and not land on a white guy trying to fuck a little kid. We've had a problem in our culture for a great amount of time
since the beginning.
Of abusing children. White men love to fuck little kids. We see it in our government today. We see it in governments across the world. They all band together and fuck little kids, allegedly, of course. But they can do that because in their religion, they believe that all they got to do is be like, oh, that wasn't right. Sorry, dude. All right, gates are open. Cool. And then it's all forgiven. Nobody has to live by the word of God.
Now, real quick, somebody had commented, sir, are you saying Jesus isn't real? No one's saying that. They've already proven Jesus is real. Absolutely. And like Troy's pointed out to me, and I'm going to take the words out of his mouth, basically, the theology behind Jesus is amazing. And if you followed the theology behind Jesus in itself and removed man and everything that they had to fucking say, you would be a good person. Which is why we all come together, because I try to gain knowledge from these individuals, from their beliefs, because their beliefs have made them good people. Regardless of how they look, or they're scary, or they paint their nails, or they got skulls and shit around. Every one of you love fucking Halloween.
I didn't do that tonight because I didn't want to add any extra flash.
All of you guys love the creepy. All of you guys love the horror. All of you guys like the nasty. You guys love that shit. Just stop pretending like you don't. Okay, like he said, you get to be like, well, I'm sorry, I fucked up, but you're the man, and we're good. I've always had a problem with that because I spent 6 years working in prison surrounded by 75% of the population being pedophiles. I have a fucking problem with these people being here, okay? I have a problem with them existing. And the fact that you're going to tell me that they can find Jesus, I find it fucking convenient that every cocksucker who does some foul ass shit all of a sudden finds Jesus, just like these OnlyFans chicks that after they made their millions, they find Jesus. It's their fucking scapegoat. That's your fucking ticket out. That's your escape system, like he fucking said. I got a problem with that because you're dodging accountability. You're dodging accountability, and you don't get to use your faith to hide from fucking accountability. That's my problem.
They build a lot of churches to hide all the hate,
Well, and really, that's not the principle of that.
No.
People have done that.
Yes. And that's the whole thing. That's what I always say about religion is I separate religion from the belief in Jesus because, or the church from the belief.
I agree with you,
because the church is what is man-made. The church is what corrupted the theology of Jesus and twisted the fuck out of it so that the church could control the fucking world. They wanted the wealth. They wanted the riches. They wanted to be able to abuse everyone and anything and get away with it because they always have this escape card. They always have this get out of jail free card. It's the church that fucked up Christians. And, and I've been seeing I've seen a couple of comments now. To sidetrack really quickly, if you're looking for an introduction to modern Norse paganism, The Way of Fire and Ice by Ryan Smith is a fantastic starting point.
Yes,
that is the book that you will want to start with. It's a broad spectrum introduction. It gives you everything you need without giving you so much detail that it becomes overwhelming and you can't read it.
The Audible book is phenomenal as well. And real quick, somebody made a comment, said that God's a woman. Now, real quick, Troy's always had a fabulous thing because he uses this when it comes down to people that want to crucify our brother Ant. Would you continue with that? Because you know where I'm going with this.
Are you talking like if God's a woman?
You know how God doesn't recognize any gender, sex.
Well, somebody just said Jesus' mother raised Moses. That's sad, but not true. At the end of the day, that's not true. In the eyes of God, in the Bible, it says in the eyes of God that he recognizes no gender, which I don't know why it says he, but recognizes no gender, because in the original it didn't. It said God recognizes no gender, no race, we're all equal in the eyes, right? So God could be a gigantic entity, and when we go to the spiritual journey, right, and we leave this body and we die and we're no longer immortal, now we're in energy, there's no need for fornication. Right. So fornication is just a thing. And it wasn't a problem with who you chose to love and stuff until later on. And people always throw Sodom and Gomorrah in my face. Well, Sodom and Gomorrah was destroyed because they raped the people that came in. Didn't have anything to do with gay. The whole town just decided to rape the visitors. I mean, and a meteor shower happened. There was like a galactic issue. And, we had meteors hitting all the time and shoot, and so they turned it into a big thing, if that even ever happened. Right. So it isn't like when the volcano erupted and hit Pompeii. So if God may be absolutely nothing more than a giant energy, an intelligent energy, because intelligence kind of outweighs everything about us. I mean, intelligence sets you apart, and I think that's what we're here to do, to get to learn. So I don't know. Nobody hates gay people. God never said it. Jesus never said it. Never. And the whole thing about same-sex was because they didn't want those in the Torah. They didn't want people sleeping with little boys. They didn't want to, like in some countries, you can't sleep with a woman until you're with her, but you can dress the boy up like a girl, and you can fuck him all day, man-boy days and stuff. I mean, and that's real. A lot of people are sitting home in your apartments, your houses, or your trailers right now. Like, you have to understand that you have to travel a little bit and got to get out a little bit more before you put something as a fact. Research everything before you put it out there.
And here's an interesting fact, because Christians, as all of us do, not just Christians, we think that we look back at the Spartans and we're just like in awe, right? We're awestruck by how amazing of a warrior they were as a whole. They conquered lands after land after land, and we're mesmerized by the Spartan. The issue is that when we get into these conversations, I get into these conversations with the Christians, they reference Sparta and the strength of man and this and that. First and foremost, the Spartans had nothing to do with Jesus. Secondly, they were all gay. Was actually commanded. No, I'm serious. It wasn't. I was waiting. And it wasn't because of the way they were dressed. They were actually commanded to be in love with each other and to fornicate with each other and to love their shield, their shield partner, because they knew the people the rulers of Rome or the rulers of the Spartan army knew that you would fight harder if you actually had a romantic love for the people sitting next to you. So the whole entire Spartan army was all fucking each other all the fucking time. But all of a sudden, being gay became a fucking problem. But we'll still look back at the Spartans and say they were the mightiest warriors of all time.
That's something I don't know anything about the Spartans. So,
deep dive into that shit.
Well, see, here's my problem with everything is, like you said before, is that they have 66 books, correct? 66 books, but we get one. They pull a little out of this, little out of this, little out of this, little out of this, and they go, here, that's all you get. Now bow before me or burn in hell.
Well, and it was all assembled in a courtroom. That's the other thing that most people don't understand, is that the Bible was assembled in a courtroom. They actually met, all the leaders of the religion met to see what they were going to put in the holy book to give to the population.
Well, and didn't Kings also play a role in that too? I mean,
well, King James, but he was a raging homosexual. I mean, he was a woman abuser. He was he was everything that the Bible says you can't be. But he did it though, right? And here's what you guys have to abide by. Don't worry about what I'm doing though.
So here, let's turn this a little bit. Now, I want to do a little educational thing for the Christians out here that don't understand paganism, or bluntly, you don't understand where the fuck your holidays came from. I've got something pulled up that I want to read through that will shed some light on Christmas and Easter and things like this. So let me get into this here. So let's I thought I had it. There we go. So let's take, first and foremost, we're going to go through some holidays. I'm going to read you just a brief description of it. Oh, there we go. Thing came.
We just got hit with a fucking storm. Oh, yeah. Please go past me.
So New Year's Day, as early as 2000 BCE, that's before Common Era. That's 2,000 years before Christ. Mesopotamians celebrated the new year, but the timing of the celebration was centered on the vernal equinox in March. The first calendar of the Romans, which contained only 10 months in a solar year, placed the start of the year as March 1st. The last 4 months of today's calendar reflect their position in the year through their names. September contains septem, Latin for 7, October, octo meaning 8, and so on. The exact time and appearance of the months January and February is uncertain, but they were originally placed at the end of the year rather than the beginning. If we scroll down and we go to Valentine's Day, February 14th is commemorated as Valentine's Day or Saint Valentine's Day in the calendar of the Anglican and Lutheran churches, although in the Roman Catholic Church, it was relegated to a local status in calendar of saints, removed as a feast day. Since apart from his name, nothing is known of Saint Valentine except that he was buried on the Via Flaminia on February 14th. Though there were several early Christian martyrs named Valentinus and Valentine, little is known any of them legend. So that's it goes on to Lupercalia and all that. Another holiday, Carnival. Carnival is period between the end of Christmas season and the beginning of Lent, which occurs in the northern climes in the dead of winter. During pagan times and emerging into the folklore of Central and Western Europe, this was a period in which heavy consumption of food was simply a matter of survival in order to ward off the period of darkness associated with the shorter days of winter. As the days began to grow longer, consumption was increased, especially among the Germanic tribes, to both drive back the evil incarnate in the darkness and encourage the return of light. As Christianity emerged, that means it came later, and the lengthy fast of Lent became a requirement, the folklore remained. We can scroll down to the immortality of the soul. Christians believe the soul is immortal.
Before he takes off with that, before Cliff takes off with that, I just want y'all to know that our new year is not supposed to start in January. I just want to throw that out there.
It's supposed to be in April.
Absolutely.
Yeah, March, April.
Why the hell would we start a new year when our planet is killing itself off right there during winter time?
Somebody asked for references, Cliff.
I'll give you. I am on History Collection. The website is historycollection.com/10 Christian holidays beliefs steeped in pagan traditions. The immortality of the soul. The immortality of the human soul is a belief of Christianity, one of its core tenets, in fact, and one that is based in pagan beliefs that well preceded those of the early Christians. The ancient Babylonians and Egyptians believed in life after death and a path to heavenly reward. The Egyptians worshipped the god Osiris, who was killed but brought back to life. Osiris offered the possibility of new life after death, was the judge of the dead, and was thus associated with the cycles of life and death seen in nature, such as the changing of the seasons. After he was brought back to life, he was elevated to some form of an afterlife in heaven, which the Egyptians believed he had opened for all who followed him. So there's your Jesus story and your resurrection story. The Roman Saturnalia and Christmas. Prior to the reign of Pope Julius I, the birth of Jesus of Nazareth had been ascribed to several different dates of the calendar, including December, January, March, and June. The biblical The biblical description of the event indicated that it was likely not in winter. Shepherds would not be tending their flocks in the fields in December or January, and the description of the census being conducted indicated that it was likely in the summer when travel would be easier for all citizens to return to the towns of their birth to be counted. Nonetheless, Julius I selected December 25th as the date of the birth of Jesus, which corresponded not with the Roman census, but with the Roman festival of Saturnalia, and it also coincided, I'm adding this, to the winter solstice and the end of the growing season. We can do Norse pagan customs of Christmas. Here's an interesting one. The Nordic peoples of Scandinavia and the Germanic tribes in Northern Europe celebrated the winter solstice through the Yule festival. That's why,
yes, they did.
Which was held for centuries before the arrival of Christianity in the region. Similar to the Roman Saturnalia, Yule grew over time. From a period of 3 days to a holiday of 12 days, the festival celebrated the return of the sun and the lengthening of daylight and days following the solstice. And the god Odin was worshipped with animal sacrifices and other religious rituals. Religious ceremonies were part of the central part of the Yule festival, which was feasting and drinking of ale, mead, and singing. That is also, I'm also adding this, just based on history. That's why, part of why they chose the date December 25th because it allowed the assimilation to become easier. It allowed the forced assimilation of pagans into Christianity an easier route. And I can go on with this. And I know this, again, it's historycollection.com/10 Christian holidays, beliefs steeped pagan traditions. You can go ahead and go to that website, read it. But the history of when I say, and I'm fought on it all the time, where I say Christianity is paganism rewrapped, it's largely because all of the holidays, Easter, in fact, is not about Jesus. It was about the growing seasons. It was about, and what happened was Christianity, the rulers of Christianity, I don't want to say Christians, the rulers of Christianity, the people at the top that wanted the control, they forced it onto the pagans by many different methods. One of the methods they did was they just changed all the holidays around so that they could associate an existing pagan holiday with a new Christian holiday, and it would make assimilation easier. Yeah. Other things they did was slaughter everybody. Other things they did was they would suffocate them. It was called communal suffocation. And what they would do is the Christians would surround pagan communities and force them to convert by not allowing them to trade, not allowing them to farm, not allowing them to work their land, not allowing them to travel, and eventually,
that
when you're
eerily similar,
starving, and
that sounds eerily similar to a few years ago.
Yeah, when your entire community is starving to death, you are going to assimilate because you're starving to death and you need to feed your family. It's much like COVID. When we had COVID just a couple of years ago, what did they do? They still to this day say, we never made you take the shot. But what they did do was make living life impossible without taking the shot. So they made you, if you didn't get the shot, you couldn't go to a restaurant and eat. If you didn't get the shot, you couldn't go to the bank and put money in the bank, take money out of the bank to feed your family. If you didn't get the shot, you couldn't fly. If you didn't take the shot, you couldn't get gas. You couldn't do this. You couldn't do it. So what they did is they made living life impossible unless you did this. This is a tactic right out of Christianity. Unfortunately, this is the reality of things. And I know a lot of people are feeling some type of way. I don't want you to feel that type of way, but we're here to get to the root of this. And this is a Christian practice.
Right.
Now,
and I saw something that came up about, watch Vikings because it will explain what they're saying. Now, I'm not against watching Vikings. It's Hollywood. Hollywood's going to twist it. It gives you a somewhat of an okay introduction into things, but it's not accurate. Don't put all your eggs in watching the Vikings, please.
Now, real quick, somebody made a comment that I like Troy to address. They said that they love the 11 rules. Now, he's going to read some 11 rules for y'all, and then he'll tell you who that list belongs to.
I can read them off. I just want to say that I heard a lot of people talk about the end times and taking the mark of Satan or whatever. Whatever. But if we're in the end times, how do you know the mark of Satan wasn't the vaccine for those of you that took it? Willing to just walk into the building and take it. What if that's the mark of the beast? You ever think about that? I mean, in your faith. you're going to deny it. You're going to say, no, it's going to be that little stamp on the hand where they put a microchip in your eye, like they talked about in the 80s by that, whatever that guy does that from the Growing Pains when he did his end time, whatever Kirk Cameron. He's, I mean, this guy's, anyways. So the taking the mark of the beast was, you can't go eat if you don't get your shot. You can't come in this store if you don't get a shot. You can't travel anywhere if you don't take your shot. So we want to think about that.
Somebody else had said that Satan was the author of chaos. Satan is man-made.
Oh, again, yes, because it's different transitions over thousands and thousands. You know, it was basically when the Jews first wrote about him, he was basically like an attorney for God. He was there to judge humans and question them on what they were doing. That's when it first started, which then became adversary. So then later on after that became an adversary and became Jesus. So it goes on and on. But he was never like a direct opponent. And then there's theories that Jesus and Satan are brothers, and they just got sick of the shit, and one went one way and one went the other.
Yeah.
And we can't prove that. You can't tell somebody who reads just the Bible that that's true because they didn't read it in just the Bible, even though the original Bible was written way back in Arabic language. Long before the Aramaic, Aramaic language, way before it became what it is today in the King James. I mean, think about that for just a second. I mean, come on.
And I love these comparisons. I really do, because what Huck just said about chaos and Satan, you look at in Norse paganism, you have Loki. Loki was about chaos. You look at Odin and you know what he did, and then you have the comparison with him. Now you look at Adam and Eve. Well, Christians have Adam and Eve. Norse pagans have Ask and Embla. Same concept, just a different story.
Now, what's the story of yours?
It's the same. It's basically the same thing. It's just reworded a little bit. Where you know we didn't.
They were made out of driftwood and shit.
Yeah, we're made out of driftwood, all that. But this, when I say the story is different, it's different because you know they took the apple of knowledge and ate it and influenced by Satan, whatever. You know, it's that part wasn't there. It was like they were born.
That's why I like apples so much.
And you were able to get the knowledge and the wisdom and all that stuff. And I saw another thing about asking about it with Odin, why Odin or something like that was in search of wisdom, if that was his only thing. The reason why Odin was in search of wisdom and knowledge was to try and prevent the ultimate outcome, which nobody can, everybody has a fate. You're not getting away from it no matter what you do. You can prolong it if you do certain things. And that was what Odin was doing, was trying to protect himself and the gods and humanity from what was about to come. So, yeah, just wanted to throw that out there.
That's really cool. You guys are made of driftwood, man. That means you got some hard motherfuckers, man. I know how solid driftwood is, man. It's a commodity in Florida.
Well, and there's just so many similarities between the two, and with the paganism that came through. You see it in how they had to rewrap it. I don't want to say steal. I don't want to say anything like that. But they had to rewrap it to assimilate, to get these people to assimilate to Christianity.
I like that, Dave. Rewrap it. They regifted an idea to you. I like that. He said,
I
don't
saw
want to say
a comment
steal.
that said no one was forced. You were absolutely forced. If you didn't bow before them, you lost your job. If you didn't bow before them, you didn't have your little vaccine card. You couldn't do shit.
This woman that you see on the screen, she took a stand against that shit, and she gave up a fucking multiple year fucking career at Cancer Treatment Centers of America because they told her outright, you can't work here unless you take the shot. And she decided to save her own life and save her own pride and not take the fucking shot, and gave up her entire career that she had spent years trying to achieve. Walk the fuck away from it. So don't fucking tell me these motherfuckers never told you you had to take the fucking shot.
That's true. They did. Someone asked. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, I wanted to just say one little thing. Everybody loves St. Patrick's Day, right? But does anybody actually know what St. Patrick's Day is about?
Enlighten us.
St. Patrick's Day, it was the day that St. Patrick got the snakes out of Ireland. Funny thing is, Ireland doesn't have snakes. You know who the snakes were?
Christians.
No,
pagans. I meant the pagans. Sorry. Yeah.
The pagans were the snakes. They wiped out the pagans out of Ireland. That's why we celebrate St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah. You celebrate St. Patrick's Day. I don't fucking celebrate that bullshit.
No.
I don't either. I don't go out doing that.
Just like in Ireland, they don't celebrate it with corned beef and cabbage. That's an American invention.
But if you talk to anybody from Ireland when it comes to St. Patrick's Day is kind of like how Yule is. It's the day of feast, day of family, day of just being together. They don't celebrate that stuff, but there's a lot. But we see how the West is twisted what St. Patrick's Day is. I just wanted to kind of throw that out there because that's not actually what you're celebrating. It's not
celebrating the elimination of an entire civilization.
Yeah, essentially, yes.
Well, St. Peter invented the upside down cross in essence, but everybody wants to blame the old man in red.
They don't know about that one, Troy.
Somebody asked earlier the 11 rules, the 11 satanic rules. Now, it comes from the 7 tenets, which is further back in a certain type of religion, paganism, Satan. So Anton LaVey, he wrote just a very basic, if you want to be part of his culture and what you do, he wrote a very basic commandment to life. And if you want them, I'll read them to you. So I don't get them wrong. I pulled them up, so I'll read them. You do not give opinions or advice unless you are asked, number 1. Number 2, do not tell your troubles to others unless you are sure they want to hear it. Number 3, when in another's house or lair, show him respect or else do not go there. If a guest in your host annoys you, treat them cruelly and without mercy. Do not make sexual advances unless you are given a signal. Do not take that which does not belong to you unless it's a burden to another person and he cries out to be relieved. Acknowledge the power of magic. If you have employed successfully and obtained your desires and you deny the power of it after having called upon it with success, you will lose all that you have attained. Do not complain about anything which you don't need to subject yourself to. Do not harm little children. And do not ever kill non-human animals unless you are attacked or for your food. And when walking in open territory, bother no one. If someone bothers you, ask them kindly to stop. If they do not, destroy them.
And
Pretty
everybody
basic.
can agree with that. Everyone in here can agree with that.
Yeah.
And I know
Perfect.
somebody in here is going to be like, I don't
like
agree
that.
with magic. Your prayers are magic.
Yeah.
Your prayers are nothing but casting spells. You're manifesting. You're speaking.
That's why we call it spelling. Isn't that why we call it spelling? Spelling.
Yes.
Yeah. Well,
We're writing a spell.
Somebody had asked about Halloween on this, kind of on this to fit
Christian.
into this. What about Halloween? Halloween was Samhain.
Christian holiday.
If you want to look it up, it's actually spelled nothing like it sounds. It's actually spelled basically Samhain, Samhain, but it's pronounced Samhain. And what that was it's a pagan festival because they believed that was the time where the veil between the spirit world and the physical world was the thinnest. So they would light communal bonfires and they would celebrate all this because they were celebrating. They felt like everybody could celebrate together. The dead and the living could celebrate together, and that's when they were most easily communicating with each other. Christians took it and made it Halloween and made a mockery of it and dressed the kids up in fucking masks and let them go get candy and shit. That wasn't actually part of the original festival. The original festival was all about honoring your ancestors that had passed on to other realms and other worlds. And that was simply just the time where the veil between the afterlife and the physical life was the thinnest.
Well, and that's the thing. I don't think a lot of people understand that.
I live it.
Paganism and how
you do.
we're about honoring our ancestors, honoring our family, being good people.
That's the whole point.
We're not out here trying to push what we believe onto anybody else. What you believe is what you believe. If that works for you, great. What I believe is what works for me, and that's what makes me a better person. I believe that we're judged by our character and who we are. And if just being a good person, and that's what paganism is. You just want to be a good person. You want to be in nature. You want to honor nature. You want to honor the, women, children, all that stuff. So what's the problem?
Well, you have to conform into people's boxes,
But we shouldn't.
Right. Well, and to build on what you just said is basically just being a good person. That's why I follow paganism. That's why I follow Norse paganism, because for me, like I said earlier in the show, I have a respect for women. I do. Women, if it wasn't for women, my kids wouldn't be alive. If it wasn't for women, I wouldn't be alive. My dad kicked the ever-loving fuck out of me all the time. And the only ones that ever nursed me back to health was fucking my mother and my fucking grandmother. They were the only people in my life that gave a fuck enough about me to not let me die. And when we look at Norse culture, women could hold office, women could own land, women could receive inheritances, women could lead battle armies in certain situations, they could lead communities in certain situations, they could hold public office, they could run families. They were very, very, very respected. And when we look at Christianity, it was the exact contrast of that. There isn't a woman in any Abrahamic religion that is worth a fuck in the book. All women are supposed to barely be seen and never be heard. And I mean, but due to Christian laws, here's a fun one. I think it was up until 1989 in New York, due to Christian laws, you could rape your wife. You could literally rape your wife in New York, and they wouldn't even arrest you for it because it was 100% legal based on Christian law.
You could beat your wife on the steps of the courthouse on a Sunday, and it was legal as long as you did it there.
Rule of thumb. Who's heard of the rule of thumb?
I did. Go ahead.
You know where that is? You know what that means? By Christian law, you could beat your wife, but the stick you beat her with could be no wider than your thumb. Christian law, beating your wife.
And that's why I got a fucking problem with shit.
Good thing you're not with a Christian, Laura.
And that's what I love with Norse paganism.
Jesus is sounding kind of neat right now. No.
And with Norse paganism, you couldn't do that. If you did that, you could get exiled from your community, and that was the harshest punishment
banished
ever have.
Banishment and excommunication. Yep.
Yes.
Because then your family won't talk to you. Nobody will talk to you. Women in Norse culture were able to divorce their husbands, and without any issues. I mean, you spoke about the women going into battle. Their archaeologists have found so many women that have been buried from the Viking Age that have been buried with all the things like kings would be buried with: dogs, swords, money, everything they would bring over to the afterlife. Women were at such a pedestal back in that time, and they're way ahead of medieval Europe. And I think that was part of the biggest problem.
In many situations in Norse pagan history, when a man would die, the family would convene and hold a service. When a woman died, the entire community would convene and hold a service for her. That's how respected women are. And that's one of my biggest problems with Christianity. It's kind of, for me, it's like, I don't know how women just get into Islam. Like, I don't know how they glory to be to Allah. Like, and while you're wearing a fucking burqa, because you're not allowed to be seen. You're not allowed to be comfortable. You have to, if you go swimming, you have to wear this shit. Now, in many countries in the Middle East, the Islamic law says that women only need one eye to see. So the burqas are stitched over one eye. They only have one hole in their entire fucking thing so that they can see, and they're not allowed to speak. I don't understand how you could take part in this. Christianity is the same thing for me. With my respect for women, I don't understand how women can be Christian when the entire religion and the other two Abrahamic religions that pair with that treat you people like shit.
Yes. And see, here's my thing is, look back at the Bible and it's like the two representations that they want to give you guys for women is Eve, the one who was punished for fucking Eve trying to gain knowledge, and B, one was a prostitute. Like that's supposed to be. That's it. You ain't got no goddesses and nothing to be cheering on. You ain't got nothing good that came from y'all. Just a prostitute, and a chick that tried to gain knowledge and was punished for it. That there's a fucking problem with that.
No, and let's take that one step further. She didn't just get punished for trying to gain knowledge. She actually put a blood curse on the rest of humanity for the rest of time, because of her in the book. We all people, but in their religion, they are cursed with a blood curse that they can't live down because of her. So every sin you commit, woman's fault. Every fucking immoral act you commit, woman's fault. It all revolves back to women, and that's why you guys aren't allowed to have rights. That's why you guys aren't allowed to have a voice. It's why you guys aren't allowed to be seen, be heard. It's wild.
Sorry, I was trying to go back. I saw a comment that came up, and I wanted to touch on it.
Yes, Skolgamores. Yes, Skolgamores.
And to be honest with you, Cliff's a little bit too tall to be a Viking. I'm just saying.
The Vikings were actually the Norse were actually short, about 5'11".
Yeah.
They're
Well, they
short,
said
short as
like,
day.
well, those were the bigger guys, dude. They all average about 5'8".
Yeah.
So you guys would walk in a room and they'd be like, "Hey, look, these guys from." I know there was the last great Viking. He was 6'6".
Yeah.
Forget his name right off the bat. You'd probably know, Dave.
He
But
wasn't
he was
Leif Erikson,
6'6".
Ugh.
Leif Erikson.
Was it
You're
Leif
so
Erikson?
God. Leif Erikson.
You want to talk about Leif Erikson discovered the West.
Harold Hardrada.
Oh yeah, 500
Harold-
years before Columbus.
Harold Hardrada was the last great Viking.
Yes.
He stood 6'6", bigger than his own men. He was a giant among men.
Who,
6'6" and
Harold
5'8". You're damn right he's a giant.
She just got it. Who was that? Original Sin. Whoever just said Original Sin.
Yeah, Catherine.
Women are. That is you. That is what the Christian fucking church looks at you like. The entire faith says you are responsible for the original sin.
Because all you want to do is get some knowledge.
And I did for the longest time. And I was like, this is fucked up.
Well, that means you have to stop beating him now, Huck. Just kidding. I'm kidding him, bro. I'm joking. That was a joke.
And the
They are allowed to wear socks.
Spankings are wanted, okay? We're good.
They are allowed to wear socks, and we'll tell you that again.
When they call you daddy, it doesn't mean Jesus, you know?
Now, that was a little joke to lighten up that stuff. Someone asked me earlier, somebody wrote to me, and they've never heard what I believe in. Listen.
Well, you don't speak of it, you really.
Because again, it's always been my own private thing. I kind of like a lot of different theologies, right? So there's the theology of Jesus. I like the way he treated people, what he was trying to do, what he was trying to accomplish before man got involved and butt-fucked the whole thing.
Yeah.
I love some of the really cool stories of the Norse pagans and the gods they have. I mean, who doesn't think Thor's just badass? I mean, let's just, and Odin, when you piss him off and the world shakes. I mean, you have to think of how cool that stuff is. Some of the Greek gods that they had, from all that, all that stuff that they did. But as far as trying to live more like, I try to stay away from stuff. I kind of follow what I just read to you. I lean more towards like LaVeyan Satanism because we're our own God. You can get up and you can create the world you want to live in, and we have that power. Or we can destroy it. We can pour it full of drugs, Kentucky Fried Chicken, STDs, needles, alcohol, all kinds of stuff. Or we can get up and go, you know what, I'm going to create this for myself. And a lot of people don't realize they accidentally do that by prayer or meditating or speaking it into reality. It's the only thing that we believe in anyways. And I'm not saying ever that there is not a creator. I have never once said that. I've never said I'm an atheist, right? I've never said that. But as of right now on this planet, I'm my own God. It's always a thing that and when you're done, like I've always thought about suicide, people's theory on suicide. Suicide, if heaven is so great, you guys can and have the ability to take your own life and go to heaven. Nowhere does it specifically say that. That was doctrine written by people because they didn't want people killing themselves off back then
Well,
due
look at
to
the Asian faith.
loss of
What's that called? Where they?
Well, they're all going to hell according to certain religions, but yes, they disembowel themselves when they dishonored their people.
Yes.
It was done during when Pearl Harbor happened. That's what the emperor was just.
Yep, they all
He had no idea.
disembowel themselves while somebody
So
else.
they made that whole thing up. You guys can dig into the evolution of religion's views on suicide. Suicide, they compared it. Well, that's murder, and you're not allowed to murder. Taking your own life is choosing to turn off. I'm not saying for anyone to ever do that. Disclaimer. I'm not telling anybody to ever off themselves, right? But I still believe that if you have something wrong with you that's no longer done, you have that right to want to go to sleep. I've never understood why we can just line up innocent dogs and cats whose only job is to be here to love their owners. We just gas them because, well, there's not enough room. Next. And nobody ever changes anything. I see a lot of signs. I see a lot of picketing. But we'll go and we'll take a mother dog that comes in with her puppies and we'll abort those babies. We don't care about that dog and how it feels, even though it's completely different sentient being than me. But we'll complain about abortion in human life. We'll complain about this. We'll complain. And it all ties back to this creator and what was made. So for me, I can't speak for the creator of why I'm here. Rather, it's a programmer, it's God, it's Odin, it's the devil himself. I can't speak because I have no idea. I can only put together what I think I can feel, and try to do right by the people I care about. So yes, I would fall more into that, and that's where I would be with it. So if you want to know me,
They've
that's
been
exactly what I
asking
would
this
do.
question for an hour now, and I want one of you guys to address it however you want to. But they want to know about reincarnation, heaven, hell, things like that. There was a comment, Laura, that popped up recently.
Was
I
it
think it was
about
light blue. It was like a light blue background, I think.
Let
was
me
it on Norse paganism?
Go shoot, Cliff. What you got?
get 1 second. Dave, I want to.
There we go. Leave that right there for a minute.
I'm going to have you handle that, Dave. But there was a comment, and if I butcher your name, I'm sorry, dude. I think it's Nasario Terrazas. He said, again, we don't know. He's asserted the idea that we don't know for a fact whose religion is right or wrong or whatever.
Absolutely.
And I 100% agree with that. And no truer statement has ever been made. And this is quite possibly the biggest dividing line between Christians and literally every other religion, because every other religion, we will openly admit, Norse pagans will openly admit, we can't prove that our gods ever really truly existed. We cannot prove to you that our doctrine, our path of faith is the one for your heart. We will openly admit this. All other religions will say this, but the Abrahamic religions, and especially Christianity, you are consistently asserting that your religion is the only religion that should be believed. Your God is the only God that ever truly existed. And again, we can't prove it. I know people will say, believe, it's been proven Jesus existed. It has not been proven that Jesus existed. It is speculated that he existed because he does come up in other books of other religions. There was a time span where he wasn't around, and then he showed up in what was a Hinduism, I think, Troy, where he showed up in Hinduism. So that's not proof. That's not proof, but it is a good basis to say that he did exist. But again, you can't prove it, but you guys seem to think that that's the only thing that, and the only one that ever was true. And you guys speak, for me anyway, I get a lot of shit because I'm Norse pagan, and I speak on, I just say it like it is. So I get told that I follow a false prophet all the time, and I want to make this really clear, and then I want to get to one more point, and then Dave, I am going to have you handle that one. I get told that I'm worshiping false prophets all the time. By definition, false prophet is the newest god. It's the god that that was attempted to replace older gods. That's Jesus. Jesus is the newest god. He is the false prophet. If you're going to come at me and talk to me about false prophets, you need to know what the fuck you're talking about. He's the newest god. So him, Muhammad, and whatever the fuck the Jews believe in, those are the false prophets. Those are the ones that replaced every other god, not even of my own culture, but all other cultures. So just hold off on that. And then one real quick thing, atheism. That's a neat religion. And every time I say it's a neat religion, I get
a lot of comments.
Shit. I get so much shit because the atheism is the lack of religion. No, atheism is the newest religion, because if you ask me, when you band together in congregations and you fight other religions, you are now a religion. All right, Dave.
All right. So, yeah. So I want to address this. Okay. So what about reincarnation, devil, and hell? Yes, Norse pagans do believe in reincarnation. So we have that similarity there. As far as hell goes, yeah, we do have a hell, but our hell is completely different from what you're thinking. See, the goddess Hel, which is Loki's daughter, she basically watches over the dead who die of natural causes, diseases, and sicknesses. We have many different places where we can go, but it depends on how you die. If you die a noble death, you can go to Valhalla, or you can go to Freya's Hall. Freya gets the first pick when it comes to battle. She takes the first, I think it's the first 10 warriors she gets, and then the others go to Odin. But as far as hell goes, the goddess Hel, she watches over all the dead, takes care of them. It's kind of like from what the texts say, it's like kind of a gray area, but it's gloomy, but everybody's happy. Everybody's just wandering around, living out the rest of their days until the reincarnation happens. So we do believe in reincarnation.
But your hell's called Helheim, correct?
Hell, yes.
Helheim, and it's just a continuation of the life you're already living, correct?
Correct.
You're not living in fear of burning in hell because you didn't bow the right way. You just get to continue your life or go to Valhalla or one of the other 9 realms.
Yeah, well, there's ultimately there's 1, 2, 3. There's not 9 different places you go when you pass. There's only you got
That's what I want to know.
About 4 of them. I want to, if I'm remembering correctly off the top of my head, I know you have Valhalla, you got Freya's Hall, then there's one other one, and then Helheim. So
there is one that is like a Christian hell, but it's you have to be the most wicked motherfucker that ever walked the planet to go there. It is literally reserved for thieves, rapists, and all that kind of shit.
Yeah, I don't remember the name of that one off the top of my head.
Because nobody ever talks about it, because that's not part of our being like that is not our culture. You know, it's not.
Well, just like somebody else has said, what if all religions are wrong?
And I wanted to touch on that.
Possible.
What if religion, and I do say Christianity largely, but it can go all to all the religions, even the ones I practice, even the one I practice. What if, wild-eyed idea, what if Christianity is a litmus test to see who belongs here and who deserves to be here? What if Christianity is a litmus test? What if Christianity is a test to see who will blindly follow anything they're told and that's used as a test? So when the rapture comes and all of the people are called home, what if that's just deciding that these are the people that are too fucking stupid to inhabit this planet, because those are the people that are going to be the worst for this planet and the future of all living things? What if?
Yeah.
What was that?
And there was also, I mean, there's been people that will actually, when it comes to Jesus, that he was here to raise the conscience of the people. And that's why ultimately he was killed. He was killed. They feared him because he was raising the conscience of everybody that was around him. And he would sit.
He was a radical. He was a radical. Yeah. In the eyes of today's society, he was a radical.
He would sit with the people that the kings and all the higher up people wouldn't want to sit with. He would sit with the prostitutes. He would sit with the sinners. He would sit with all of these people.
Absolutely.
And have those conversations with them. But the problem is it's not Christianity. Christianity is not the problem. The problem is how it got twisted so much by man.
The interpretation of it.
Yes. The whole interpretation of Christianity, it's a great concept. The problem is that it became organized. And once it became organized, that's where it just tore it down.
Well, just real quick, I had somebody one time run this by me, and it stuck with me for a little bit. Everybody here knows who David Blaine is, right?
Yeah.
Everybody knows who David Copperfield is. It's a street guy. The guy who walks on water and dangles in the air and disappears and does all this magic and shit. Who the fuck is to say that we didn't have a David Blaine 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 years ago doing the same fucking shit?
We did.
Well, at least 2,000 years ago, we had Moses.
And then people are like, holy shit, look what this guy's doing, dude. And they start writing books.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
The pagans had seers that saw into the future, saw in the past, and all that stuff. They had magic. They had all that stuff.
You know, I think a lot of Christians don't give Jesus enough credit.
No, they don't.
Listen, if you can think about this for a second, open your mind and listen to what I'm going to tell you, because we really just don't know, other than what one of the books in the Bible told us. However, you want to take the story where he sat with kings, like he was just talking about. Dave was dead right on that. Flip tables. He was pissed off. These big kings he's talking about were leaders. And they had the power of God in their hand to keep you so scared that you did everything you were supposed to do. Pay your taxes. They had all their women and the wealth they wanted, and they were living the high life, like high on cocaine, as much as they wanted. And everybody was going to take care of it for them, similar to the way churches run today. Not all churches, but most of them. Now, Jesus was the motherfucker that got up and went in there and challenged them, which is why he was killed. It wasn't that I'm going to go in there and bring them to be friends with my Father. It was to say, you're destroying the people. You are killing the people, and you're living amongst this wealth while people are dying, and this is not the way. So basically, he was pretty badass. He was a Mandalorian, per se. And he went in there and fought for the right of being good, right? And so almost every movie's been written like that in history. Every storybook always has a hero. So a lot of people peg Jesus as this, oh, he did this, and he was just this loving guy, and he went around and gave him a little slap on the bottom. Your sin's free. You're all free. No, I don't think so. I think he was very, very hardcore at what he did. I think if you really read the story of Jesus and you look at what he said, he sat down with sinners, he sat down with killers, he sat down with kings. He was getting in there. And he was starting to win, and he was killed.
And he was pissing people off because he stood against the narrative.
Yeah, they mocked him and called him the king of the Jews. And even the Romans, why do you want us to kill this man? He didn't really affect the Romans. Why do you want to kill him? Herod's like, dude, I don't want anything to do with this. But they forget about all that because they take it back to this, because you're a sinner, Huck. Because you laid there as a gigolo or whatever. You understand? But that's not what it was for. And my neighbor made a joke the other day, and she's a Christian. She said, I have to go around to sin, or otherwise Jesus died for no reason. And I thought that was great. And I want to tell you a little bit. I'll tell you a fast bit of my history. I grew up during the Satanic Panic. My mother was 21 years old when I was born. She was brought up in a Catholic family, really good about it. My mom wasn't over-religious, but at the time, you're in your 20s. Your kids are now 12, 13, 14, 15 years old, okay? Everywhere you look, as a young parent, are like, they're looking in the camera, you've got to keep these kids away from this rock and roll music. It started with Elvis shaking around his hips, making girls want to fornicate and get horny. It's a sin. Rock, 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 rock. And while they were being pounded that, your parents of my era thought they were helping. They thought they were keeping you from something. They were protecting their children, right? Now, as an adult, as a kid, I hated that. I'm like, why are you listening to this fucking guy over here? We all know they're idiots. I know there's someone over here with pain in their leg. God's telling me. Shut the fuck up. You're talking to 800 people. Of course someone's going to have pain on the right side of their leg. But at that time, you have young parents, they're raising children, you have all these evangelists, and the Satanic Panic was real, and it was penetrated into the 700 Club. It was penetrated into TV, everywhere you looked, everything, every album cover, all this, all that. We got to stop this. We're going to burn everything. So everything that I was ever interested in, music being the first and foremost, monsters, bad guys, the villain, I was going to hell, no matter what I was into. Oh, you can't do that. If you do that, you're going right to hell. At the same time, my parents were cool. My mom never made me cut my hair. I had very long hair. I kind of lived the era. It was cool. I'd go to church, and some 400-pound woman would come up and tell me, you're sinning with all that hair. You look like a hoodlum. You're 400 pounds. I know that gluttony is part of your commandments. And at the end of church, we're all going out back, and you're going to eat 4 buckets of chicken by yourself. But I have long hair. That's the way I grew up. Everybody's always pointing the finger. You're a piece of shit. You're going to hell, because I had my own brain, because I want to do my own thing. And where I'm at today is because I was born into a great family. I have a wonderful family. And my mom and my mom's Christian. But not Christian. I don't know how to say it. Like, she believes in God, and she follows that faith, and she doesn't hurt people. She loves Ant. She loves Cliff. She loves all the things that David does. She loves Huck. Because we're humans. That's what we're supposed to do. We're not persecuting anybody. Times were different for me. Now as an adult, and I look back, I go, man, my parents were just trying to save me. Even though I was pretty smart, I didn't get hooked up in shit, Cliff. I didn't do a lot of drugs. I didn't do any of that kind of stuff. I was pretty mentally focused on what I wanted to do with my life, and I'm still kind of doing it. But at the end of the day, that's where it all stems from, all that hatred. So people stop looking that are alive right now, because everybody else is dead. My grandparents are dead. They're all gone now. All that died with them. But the parents that are still alive today, with people that have kids that are 44, 40 and up, it stopped in the 80s, the late 70s and 80s. So now, younger people don't look past that. So you got these, I'm here for America and God, and you all can fuck off. You don't even look past what was taught in the 1970s and 80s, because that's what was told to you. That's what all the evangelists were telling you on TV. That was all the super revivals they were doing, these multi-million super. I mean, they made a joke about it. The Righteous Gemstones was a great TV show led by John Goodman. And if you don't watch it, it's exactly what that was about. And it was fan-fucking-tastic. It's probably Cliff can't watch that show without laughing, and he don't even watch TV. If he watched that, he would die laughing, and he wouldn't fall asleep. It's hilarious. And you're like, oh my God, that's so true. So there's a religion there, and I've never said Jesus didn't walk around. I don't know. There's a lot that says he did. Great. But what he was doing was being a badass to help every one of you call me a piece of shit, or Huck a sinner, or Dave and Cliff should just go, jump off a cliff because they're pagans. That's what you have a right to do that because of all of this. So it's just be yourself. Stop hating everybody.
let me touch on something here because and it's a rare perspective that I want to just introduce to people. I'm not saying that I believe it's factual, but there is some credence here. So when we talk about Jesus and his sacrifice, because I've seen some comments come up, Jesus didn't sacrifice himself for our sins. God did not sacrifice his Father. Did not sacrifice him for our sins. Jesus was murdered. The story later said that he sacrificed for our sins. But here's what I want to introduce, this perspective, this thought. Let's just assume that he sacrificed himself. Let's assume that he ran up there to all the Jews and all these people that said, string me up because I want to die for everybody's sins. I'll take the bullet, string me up. Let's say he did that. He came back, which that means it's not a sacrifice. That made it a transaction. He was killed on the cross to pay for our sins, but then he was resurrected as a God later. That's a transaction. That is a transaction for personal gain. If somebody told me that I could fucking sacrifice myself for everybody's sin, and then I was guaranteed to be resurrected as a God 3 days later or whatever, I'd be like, fucking bring it on. Let's go.
Exactly.
It made it a transaction.
I always thought Jesus might have been an alien, Cliff. Because you got a whole bunch of people in robes with sticks that are still eating goats, and he's going like this, and he's flying up in a light into the heavens. I mean, we all know what getting sucked up in a spaceship's like. I mean, we've seen movies.
Every civilization that has ever been discovered throughout the history of mankind, every civilization has depictions of sky people, has depictions of aircraft, has depictions of flying things coming down and littering the planet.
Didn't Da Vinci have
his?
Yeah.
Da Vinci did a lot of cool. His paintings were amazing, and he was actually really intelligent. And it was illegal to be doing the autopsies and stuff he was doing when he was doing them, so he could actually learn the body. I mean, that guy was something else. But again, shut down and called upon as a liar and a blah 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 whatever else. But he was actually really good.
We have to understand.
But Da Vinci's good.
We have to understand that. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Sorry, Cliff.
We just got to understand that society as a whole, once man got control through religion, because that's how they got control, and once man got control, everything became fucked because we are born being told what to think. Most Christians don't believe in Christianity because they found it later and it spoke to them. Most Christians believe in Christianity because they were forced to as a child. That's what it is. It's indoctrination at its finest. But what we have to understand is that if you look at outside of religion, at the systems we live by as mankind, everything is meant for a system of control. Look at the American educational system, which is the most dog shit thing on the fucking face of the planet. It is the Franco-Prussian school systems, the school structure. And the reason that the Franco-Prussian school structure was invented was to make people satisfied or pacified by sitting and working for somebody else. That's the entire American educational system. We take kids that have energy. They've got different thoughts. They've got questions. They've got all this other shit that's going through their fucking young little minds because they're trying to grow on a natural level. And we've got teachers who I will fucking say are the scum of the fucking earth because I've never had a good teacher in my life other than maybe one or two that were understanding. And I wouldn't even say they were great teachers. I've had problems with teachers and I have a problem with the educational system. So we've got all these teachers that are upholding this system of indoctrination and the Franco-Prussian school system of turning our children into drones. And as soon as our children become children in class and they exhibit signs of energy, they question the narrative, they question the authority. What happens? ADHD, they send them to the fucking doctor and they get them pumped full of fucking pills. And what happens later? 100% of mass shooters were on some sort of fucking antidepressant medicine. And that is because they were given that to be good little fucking drones, good little worker bees. Shut the fuck up, do your fucking job, earn me money. The guy with the $80 million car collection and a warehouse full of employees that can't make ends meet, he's the motherfucker that's funding the school system, and the teachers are the ones that are implementing that bullshit into the minds and lives of our children. It's all about control.
Yes, I want to, before I go on.
Hold on, I can't hear Troy.
Troy's cut out.
Troy, you're cut out.
No audio.
No audio.
I didn't do that. Well, I
There
didn't
he's
mean-
back.
okay,
He's
there.
back.
I must have said something. I was just going to say they try to make us all equal, and the whole lie that we've been taught our whole lives is that we're all born equal. We are not born equal. We
Facts.
are not. We are
Facts.
not. And there are people that are intellectually higher than everyone else, and there are people that spend their whole lives very simple, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? But their brain gets to a certain level, and it sits there. We've met many of those.
Yes.
Well, I am not equal to them. We have equal opportunity, and when children start to excel, they're snapped right back into stuff.
Yep.
So they do that on purpose. Cliff, you're absolutely right about that. School
Oh yeah, they
was
tell you
absolutely
child's out of
my
control and-
here it pisses everybody off. My mother went to every school we all went to and said never send homework with my children ever. That's their time to think, to be kids, and to be home. That's family time. Do not send homework home with my kids ever. If you can't do it in 8 hours, you're not doing your job. She did that. That's a true story. We never had homework, at least towards the end.
Fucking
It was
bastard.
it was actually fantastic because they were teaching you to bring your homework with you. So you're constantly working. You're constantly making money for the man. It's exactly what Cliff said. And if you look at the science of it, you'll see exactly what it was. And it took our time away. You can't hang out with Cliff
The whole
today,
school
Troy.
system-
You got to finish your math test that you brought home.
The whole
Well, I want to hang with
system,
Cliff.
the food pyramid, the 3 meals a day. We're not supposed to
1950.
eat like that. They flipped the entire food pyramid over because it was one way one moment, and then flip it completely over and say it's another way.
And
Like,
now it's
Right.
flipped again. Now it's
yes,
flipped.
and now
they
it's
just-
flipped
they just
again. Like
flipped it
you're
again.
not supposed to eat 3 meals a day. You're not supposed to eat all this bullshit they're fucking telling you. They want you to be a consumer. They want you fat. They want you lazy. They want you dependent.
The food pyramid flipped in the 1950s when big cereal, this is actually fucking true.
Yeah.
Big
Absolutely.
cereal, big cereal, Rice Krispies, Frosted Flakes. They paid the government to flip the food pyramid and replace eggs, which are nothing but fucking protein and carbs and everything your body needs to replace that with sugary cereals so that the kids would get addicted to the product and they could make more money. This is a fact. It's also the same thing as the Pledge of Allegiance. The Pledge of Allegiance, God was never in the Pledge of Allegiance until the 1950s
You can do whatever you want.
because you need to fucking be,
Patricia.
you need to be controlled. And it's the religion of fear. So
Well, I mean,
Somebody asked if you could be burned or cremated or buried or cremated. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
This is just closed.
It does, right?
This is just closed. Yeah, driftwood to dirt. It's the same shit.
Yeah.
I mean, really, bones, ash, that's all of it.
Well, and you know, speaking of that, like, I mean, what about the trumpets? The ravens cawing or the crows,
Can we
crowing?
get into that? We got time.
You know,
We got
there's
time.
it's well, I mean, it's long, but the 7 signs of the apocalypse or whatever, that's directly out of paganism, like Norse paganism, like literally the crows equal the trumpets, the fucking, I mean, it's all there, but you've got to want to look at this. You've got to want to see the truth. Unless you do, nothing anybody ever tells you is ever going to land, because you have to have that open mind. You want to tell your mommy and your daddy and your neighbors you have in order to understand where we're coming from with this. Again, none of us know. Christians are the only ones that seem to know that their religion and their God is the only one that ever existed. Well, look at I had one, actually, in fact, I had one the other day. Well, look at our calendar. It's based on Jesus's life. That's when time started. But we can carbon date shit to millions of years ago. That's 2,000 years old. Most of the calendar is named after pagan gods. I mean, like, what are we doing here?
days of the
But
week.
is it April
Oh, yeah,
1st?
days of the week,
Is it April 1st Fool's Day? Right?
Yeah.
But reality, April 1st is technically the beginning of the calendar year.
Yes,
And that's
and they're doing that to mock you.
And they
They
did
did
that
that
to mock you. They made April 1st, which was the beginning of the calendar year, because that's the start of the spring growing season. They named it April 1st to make fools out of all of you, so that you wouldn't look into the history of it and understand that, holy shit, this is when our year is actually supposed to start. This is also everybody talks about, like, how many people out there that you're like, man, we used to get a lot more snow when I was a kid. Like, when I was a kid, November, we were building snow forts. Now we don't get snow till January. It's because we have fucked with the calendar so many times because of control structures and somebody wanting to be the ruler of mankind, that the seasons no longer coincide with the months we knew them as.
Well, we also
Well, listen,
we have to remember too that we lost 33 years in the Bible. There's 33 years completely gone.
Everything is 33rd degree, 33rd.
It's always a three, always threes.
Yeah, well, it's because humans fuck everything up they get in contact with. Like, I think kids when they're little in kindergarten and first grade shouldn't have to be learning about Benjamin Franklin and Abraham Lincoln. Who gives a fuck? You don't apply that anymore. That's such old shit now. That's like learning about shit you don't need to learn about. You need to start teaching about things, how to become a better human, social skills, how to understand, how to communicate, how to problem solve. Not just, well, you better read about Benjamin. What's a 5 to 6 year old want? Nope, it's irrelevant.
Well,
but then again, bullying always happens in big pecking orders. It's survival. We've interfered again because we have to take little Timmy out. They're beating him up. He could die. Well, in the old days and in the Wild Kingdom, he would die. And guess what he wouldn't do? He wouldn't breed and make more weak little people and cause the extinction of their own species. People don't even look into that either, dude. We've taken and changed so many things now that we're creating a lot of problems because we just interfere way too much.
Absolutely.
Period. With our opinions.
Right.
We should just let it happen.
Like you were saying, every day of the week is after the Norse gods.
Yeah, except for Saturday, Sunday. Well, Sunday and Monday, kind of, but
Sunday's God's Day, Dave.
Sundays we honor the sun. Monday we honor the moon with Manny and Soul. And Sunday,
well, in Christians they relax that day. They have chicken.
Well, technically, per Christianity, their Sabbath would be on Saturday, but they still celebrate on Sunday. But yet Sunday is the beginning of the week.
Unless you're a 7-day Adventist.
right?
I'm just saying.
And Saturday is Saturn Day, and that was the day of wash, which back then the Norse were probably the most cleanliest people out of anybody.
No, Christianity
fundamentally
came
wrong.
last.
Christianity is
last.
the newest. Paganism predated Christianity by thousands of years. I'm sorry, dude.
I thought you were all telling me no, I was wrong. I was like, wait a minute.
No.
No, we were trying to answer questions. So yeah, bring back home economics, metal class, woodworking, balance a fucking checkbook.
Yeah, that's what I was going to tell you. The jobs of today that mean something are put down as a loser job.
Yes.
Building, construction, road work, pipe work.
Skill based.
Yeah, it's all you don't want to do that. You want to sell Bitcoin, and you want to be a creator, and not even that. You want to create video games, and you want to do this. You don't want to work on the road. You don't want to build a house. Who the fuck wants to do that? We'll just let illegals do it because they're worthless. That's exactly what they teach subliminally, and they teach you that. You don't see that?
I'll tell you what. One of the most rewarding things I've done in my life is with my job, and I work on the roads. It's
Well, that's a terrible job. You should be ashamed of yourself that you did some dumb job like that. That's what I'm trying to say.
Right.
Those are important. We have to have that stuff. And he's good at it. Why is that a terrible thing? Why does everybody have to be a whiz kid and sell Amway?
Well, that also plays into the gender argument, why they're trying to erase men, why we have so many women out here saying, we don't need men. We don't need men. Well, first off, if you want to have kids, you need men. I know you guys believe that you're the only sole creator of life, but without a male seed, you're not creating shit. You're creating a period. That's all you're creating. But that's the gender argument is, and trying to erase men is because men predominantly build the roads, put the power lines up, build the buildings, run the sewer systems, all of this shit. And they want to get rid of men because we're the ones that keep the goddamn world rolling while women do the women shit. Women are the nurturers. Women raise our children to be productive, successful, smart, intelligent, free-thinking people. We all have our own thing that we offer life itself, but the people that rule us, our owners, they're trying to erase part of us because Christianity tries to
Too challenging.
But now we're in a modern climate where they're just trying to erase men, because if you erase one side, you have full control of the other.
Touch on. Look, what I'm gonna say next to piss you off, but the world you live created by men. Right you have are given you by men. Let me elaborate. You don't have the manpower to fucking enforce the rights that you want. So without men, you have no fucking rights. So if they take away the masculinity and give you a bunch of fuck boys and bitch boys that won't fight for your shit, you're gonna lose everything.
Well,
that's facts.
And in some countries, they try to do it here, but women don't matter in some countries to this day.
Oh yeah, they still don't. And all the Abrahamic ones.
But that's what I'm saying. So they want to convert them. Everybody wants that. They want to be, and I get that. It's pretty fucked up, man. Everybody's taking everybody's shit and just mixing it up because we're getting a little crazy. It's time to like sit down and rethink what we're doing. We're digressing. We are unevolving, Cliff. Right. That's what I think.
We're going back.
We're unevolving.
We're absolutely devolving into chaos, and that is what our owners want. That's the idea behind everything. For many of you, you probably don't know that George Washington didn't want to run on a two-party system, but Britain, who already owned this place, forced him to. George Washington wanted to run on one party. He said, we are of one country, of one people. We should be of one mindset. And the British Parliament that already owned the fucking place said, you can't do that and we'll fucking kill you if you try, because the only way you can control the masses is to have them divided. And every single system we have in this goddamn godforsaken fucking lifetime of ours is built on division. Gender roles, that's a big argument now. Oh, women can't do this. Oh, yes, they can. Women can become men. Men can become women. So we're just gonna erase the line of what we do there. The school system, everything, the fucking employment structure. How many times have you heard the fucking argument that women don't get paid like men, which is 100% bullshit because women don't do the same job men do. When I see, did you know all of the trade jobs is what they use to say that women don't get paid like men? They're
also based off of 32 hours, not 40.
89.5% more men work in fucking trade jobs than women. So they will say, oh, you don't get paid like men on broad scale. You're too fucking, and most people are too fucking stupid to look in it. So they just look into it. So they just say, oh, well, I heard that headline on Fox News, or I heard that headline on CNN. Women don't
echo chamber.
But it's true.
Here's
another one. Here's another one. Let me elaborate on that. How about this? Women don't get paid like men. We'll take the same office job, right? Women don't get paid like men. What happens if you pay them identical and then you introduce this woman to this man, this single woman to this single man, and you introduce them and they start courting? What happens? If the man says, well, we get paid equal, you gotta pick up your end of the fucking tab. That woman don't want nothing to do with that motherfucker. So we have to pay for everything. And y'all motherfuckers still want to make as much money as we do, but you also want us to pay for everything. So there has to be a line somewhere. This is how they keep us divided.
I want to play devil's advocate here real quick.
They do keep you divided. It is definitely by design. Sorry, Jake.
No, you're fine. And what I think, if it came down to like jobs where women were predominantly better than men, and a man tried to go into that position, it will be getting paid more than what the guy would, I think.
Sorry. Was I wrong? Was I fucking wrong?
A woman could fucking stuff the business end of a hairbrush up her ass and make fucking 10 times what the fucking best man can make on a road crew.
Facts. I don't want to hear shit from, I'm sorry, but nowadays in this society, women have it easier than men. I said what the fuck I said.
On some levels. I will say not all levels, but
for sure. Sorry, Laura.
Where I'm at, where I work at, we have some women that work there, and especially out in the field, and I've seen where they get offended very easily and they leave the job. They leave the job site, which is we can't do. So
Ralph.
In some instances, there's some jobs where maybe, I don't want to sit here and say that women can't do whatever they want. Anybody can do whatever they want. You put your mind to it, you can do it, but it's just how you do it compared to how somebody else does it, man, woman, whatever,
what people fail to realize is they've designed it this way to break up the nuclear family from Jump Street. Why, you ask? The government introduced feminism. The government taught you feminism. The government pushed you into feminism because now you're fighting for equality, but in reality, they're getting 50% more fucking tax money because now you're going to work instead of staying home taking care of your children, teaching them properly.
Oh yeah, make some more money, 100%.
Now you're going to go make the government more money because you're fighting for equality.
Yeah. Well, here's another one: the prison
system. Well, I don't want anybody to be offended. What Huck's not saying that he still thinks you could be drug out, not allowed to wear socks, and be beaten in the kitchen. That's not it. You know what I mean? Because it's okay to be equal. I'm not saying that at all. If a girl wants to go get a job, or a woman wants to get a job, she has every right to do that. I'm going to say that. But, the whole, they want to be equal. Like, you can't just, hey, Frankie beat his wife. You want to go play cards? That shit used to go on all the way into the 50s. Like, oh, that's just Huck. He's beating his wife in the front yard again. We'll go to pizza when he's done. And nobody gave a shit. And that's wrong. That's not right, man. That's the only equality we deserve. But they propelled it and made it bigger and bigger and bigger, like you said, to make tax. That's exactly what they did. They introduced it, and that's terrible.
And the government is all about money. The government's all about money, even down to the prison system. How many times have you all heard people quote, well, America's got the most inmates of any country or any 3 countries on earth combined? Well, that is a fact. And it's not because we're the shittiest people. It's because we're the only fucking place on earth.
Muslims are out giving birth more than we are.
Right.
Yes.
Well, but we're the only place on earth that has contracts to be filled by the private prison system.
Facts.
Most people don't know that the prisons have a 93 to 97% contract, which means they have to have at all times 93 to 97% of the beds filled. They have to, or they fucking lose money. They are contracts. That's the whole private prison system. That's why we introduced crack. The government introduced crack into the black communities in the 80s. It's to break up black families from becoming more powerful and becoming more intelligent, and then and to fill the prisons, because back then it was 67%, 68%.
Well,
that's because most of them are privately owned. They're privately owned.
They're all private.
Now you got privately owned prisons.
Yeah,
if you don't think that's a business, we're blind.
When the government owned the prison system, it was a 60, I think it was 64 to 69%. They had to keep to fund the prison, to keep receiving the funding to run the prison. They had to keep 64 to 69% of the beds full. When the prison system went fully privatized, it went up to 90 to up to the top to the cap of 97%. All the beds need to be filled. It's money, 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 and they make money, money, money by division.
Absolutely.
Well,
Huck,
you took us off the religion there.
Yeah, just
beating women and stuff. Beating women, you just gotta.
That was you.
Huck's like, can't beat them anymore, guys. You can't beat them. I'm just playing with you, Huck. I'm playing with you.
I think this is great. I think this would be a great point to try to start wrapping this up on just that point, because what it is it leads directly into unity. If we can all have this religious discussion, and we can all decide to follow our own faiths with the understanding that all of our faith inevitably at some point in history or another stemmed from another faith, making it not the only faith, making it not the only road for everybody, not the only path or avenue for everybody to practice their spirituality. We could actually fucking unite. We could actually unite to
coexist.
We could actually unite to a point where we could, coexist.
Succeed.
Exactly. We could succeed. Yeah. We could take it to the fucking government. What would it look like if Christians started all understanding that their faith is for them, not to be preached to everybody else? What could it be like if they banded together with the pagans, the Muslims, the fucking the Hindus, and the fucking Buddhists? And what would happen if that major division line got removed and we all marched to Washington and demanded change? I think we could get it. I know we could get it.
Well, the world would. That's why it's divided. You're right, Cliff.
But that's why we put this live.
If we all got along, not just Christians, not just Christians, even these crazy people that are out there burning shit down and marching. If everybody was like, you know what, we got to stop this. It's up there. And you go up there and everybody gets together, he's 100% right. He actually nailed that one.
My problem with life isn't that people believe in Jesus. My problem with life is that the government is fucking us all in the ass. That's my problem with life. So
100%.
This is just a distraction. This is just something we're all indoctrinated into believing. It needs to be said. We're indoctrinated into believing that you need to believe in Jesus Christ because he's the only Lord and Savior. You need to believe in the left or the right side of the government because they're here to save us.
Preach it.
Everybody's fucking us. Everybody's killing us. And every single fucking time you say, I'm a fucking right wing this, I'm a left wing this, you're fucking continuing the division and continuing the cycle of division and hate and anguish and pain and strife and torment all the way into the future for your kids, for your kids' kids, for your kids' kids' kids, for the rest of mankind. That's why I always say, fuck both sides of every argument. There's a way that you can remove the wall between you and coexist. There's a way you can actually be friends.
I just want to say one thing before, I know we're wrapping up, but I wanted to say that, this is for the Christians and for anybody else, any other religion. we're not against you. I don't care.
No, we're not
at all.
Facts.
I've said this time and time again, especially to Christians. I would have my brothers and sisters that follow Christ. I would have their back in a heartbeat if things went that way. All pagans would.
Well,
yes.
Like I said, I know we're all wrapping up. And one thing, I got crucified when I told people that I was going to take this journey and you need to put your cross on. And it's all about symbolism. It really is. All right. It drives me fucking nuts. But it's like, I truly seen this, like, okay, I'm over here preaching on Wednesdays and Sundays. I was preaching. I was trying to do what they wanted me to do, what I felt like I should do, trying to bring people together. And yet I was still being crucified for it. And that's when I decided, I was like, I'm over here preaching one side, but I got brothers that are pagan. I got brothers that are Satanists. I got brothers that are atheists. I got brothers that are, not Christian at all. Like, they don't believe in anything. And it's like, I literally had people in my services on Wednesday and Sundays that were pagans, that were supporting our beliefs. Mm-hmm. They were doing it for our family. They were doing it for us. But you guys wouldn't do the same for them. And then I turn around and make one simple statement that I want to increase my knowledge and maybe unite people. And I'm the bad guy for wanting to do what Jesus wanted you all to do.
That's what Jesus was doing.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
And that's why I was crucified for it the same way anyone else is.
Well, here's the thing. I think, you know what, and because this is a conversation regarding mostly Christians and pagans and whatever. If Christians would, I'm trying to appeal to all the good Christians out there, the real Christians, as you call yourselves, the ones that don't pass judgment upon others, the ones that aren't screaming in people's faces about how they need to believe in Jesus. If you guys could take the energy that your God gave you and turn it against your own that are the bad ones, we could really make some major shit happen, because it's the bad ones that are fucking up your entire path of faith for everybody. It's the bad ones in your culture, in your faith, that are making your faith, literally, this is statistical fact, Christianity is fading out faster than any other religion on earth, and it has been for more than a decade. And it's because of these people that you call bad Christians. They're the fake Christians. We need you Christians, the people that are out here, the people of earth. We need you good Christians, you true Christians, to turn your energy from outward to inward to your own groups. We need you to, instead of, when you see somebody that's judging people in the name of God, we need you to not go, oh, that's a fake Christian, and then walk away. We need you to handle some fucking business and shut these motherfuckers down.
Facts.
That's well said.
Call out yourself.
Govern your own. Govern your own. Gangs do it.
The problem is they govern their own by calling them out and judging them, but they won't govern themselves. And that's something as a whole, regardless of what you believe in, govern yourself.
You're right. I was just saying what Cliff said. Turn inward and govern yourself. Like start making everybody accountable. I mean, we do that to each other, and it's not even religion.
They're asking if we can do this again.
We might.
Yeah, I've seen a lot. I wanted to actually touch on that because I've seen a lot of comments that have been flying through about, like, they want us to have this. Like, can we have this weekly?
I want to put this one up. Laura, I'm going to put this comment up real quick, and then you can get right back to it, because I love that fucking comment. You guys did a great job. I wasn't going to watch thinking you were swaying us, but none of you did that. Awesome. That is the fucking key right here. You can keep scrolling through the comments now. We're not here to make you believe in our shit. We're here to remove the wall between the people that believe what you believe and the people that believe what we believe, so that we can fucking band together and make this life worth fucking living.
Truly coexist.
Right now, every single one of us gets up every single morning. I'm truly happy at my core, but I still don't want to get up and go to work for the man. I don't want to have to get up at the ass crack of dawn to go build some other motherfucker's dream because I'm not allowed to build my own. We can make this life worth fucking living, but we got to get the wall out from between us, and we've got to be able to talk. No pagan that I know ever wants to, is there, none of them is their mission is to convert Christians. It's not. So
No.
They've never tried. None of them have ever tried. I
we
just
just want to
to
talk. We just want you to know that we're far more similar than you believe. While all Christians are coming, or not all Christians, I know I'm going to get the fucking, it's not all of us, but broad scale, generally speaking, Christians are always coming at everybody saying, "Oh, you need to believe what I believe." But when they come at pagans, they come at us and they say, "You need to believe what I believe because you're a fucking piece of shit if you don't." But the problem is that what you believe came from what I believe. That makes us far more similar than you'll ever imagine. And if we could get the truth out to the Christians as to where their faith actually is rooted, we would actually fucking unite for once.
We would. And it would be so easy to be able to unite because our beliefs are the same.
Yeah.
You just got to realize where they come from. That's it.
No.
If everybody strived to be a better person, regardless of your beliefs, we'd all be better.
People always, I just saw someone say religion is the least of their worries. I agree with the statement. However, all religions go out and vote and change the rules and laws against something you may believe in. So you need to pay attention to everything that's being done.
Yes.
Because if certain religions took over the United States, you would have a problem.
If Islam took this motherfucker over, you women, you think Christians hated you? Fuck that. These motherfuckers, you all be in burqas, we're looking out one eye, and your kids will be getting raped all the fucking time, allegedly. But you know,
stoned, acid poured on you, beat.
Try to go have your pride parade in a fucking Middle Eastern country and see how fast you get tossed off a roof.
Well, unless it's Israel, they have the biggest pride festival.
That's not a good start.
But that's a whole nother topic for a whole nother day.
Yeah.
That's you, man. I don't get into that.
I appreciate all you guys. I appreciate you guys who showed up. I know it's been a long time coming. I appreciate those of you who came in with an open mind and tried to understand what I was trying to do, is because I have coexisted with every one of these people without problems, and I like to see all of us coexist with everyone without these problems, because once you figure out who's dividing you, then you figure out who the hell needs to be conquered eventually. So it's time for everybody to coexist, regardless of belief. Don't come in here passing judgment on shit. Is Troy a good person, regardless of his beliefs?
What do you mean?
Is Cliff? Is Dan? Is Laura? Are these all good people, regardless of Dave?
Dan.
I'm sorry.
Dan.
Dan.
What the fuck?
You're fucking Dan today. Okay, it's Dan the man. Okay, it's fucking
all right, Stacy.
Oh, stop. Okay, so everyone here is a good person, right? Everyone here is a good person. I've seen plenty of comments tell me that I would dine with any one of you. So why can't we get the whole world to do that? Exactly. That's my whole goal of this one.
Because
everyone has judgment.
That's not going to happen. Because we're primates. That's exactly why that's not going to happen.
I'm sorry, but if you want to walk like Jesus, you better learn how to do it, right? I'm just saying.
You got to look at it like this. If you want to walk like Jesus, you got to be ready to do it. If you want to walk like Odin, you got to do the same fucking thing.
But it all leads to you being a better person and taking care of your communities. Live by the theology of your beliefs, not the man-made shit that was thrown in later.
Exactly.
All right. Let everybody know where they can find you, Huck. We'll go one by one.
Well, shit, I'm on Facebook at Justin Stoll, or you can search TH3 Real Huckleberry almost anywhere. You can also, this was aired on YouTube, so please, if you want to go back and watch it, check on Savage's podcast, check on my YouTube channel. That'd be great. Everything, follow me on one platform. My link tree has the rest.
Troy, you want to let them know where they can follow you?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram at The Motley Croc Show. You can find me at Troy Lilly on Facebook, and you can find The Motley Croc Show on YouTube, which you'll find this show there too, because we put it up there.
Absolutely.
Laura's Elmore1217 on Instagram if you want to follow her. She doesn't do anything with fucking social media, nothing. So, I mean, it's a follow for.
Well, I had seen somebody say, "Who's the one in the top right box? Why is she not saying nothing?" She's working the comments for all of you fabulous individuals. She's the one shuffling your comments all night long.
She's working.
So huge round of applause for
Mrs.
Laura.
Savage. Thank you, Laura.
Thank you, Laura. You're amazing.
Great job, Laura.
Dave, let them know where they can find you.
All right, guys. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and over on YouTube at The Hammer Drops.
And if you want to help me get out these words, get these truths out, you can follow me at Savagely Loud on Instagram is where I'm most active. On that page, you're going to find two links. One of those links is the Savagely Loud podcast page on Instagram. If you could please follow us and as my co-host Dave here, if you could follow us over there, it'd be greatly appreciated. The other link you're going to find is a simple link tree. Anywhere you want to see my face or hear my rants, you can find it there, easy peasy. Outside of that, Facebook, X and Rumble at Savagely Loud, YouTube at Savagely Loud Podcast. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. subscribe that shit with all your friends. And you can email me in at savagelyloud@gmail.com. You can email me and Dave together as the show at savagelyloud@gmail.podcast@gmail.com. And please give us a rating and a review. Give us a good 5-star review on Spotify and Apple iTunes. Give us a good rating, good review. It really does help get the show out there. I'm not going to tell you that we can't do the show if we don't get it out there like everybody. Oh, it just makes it more possible for us to make this content. We're going to make this fucking content anyway because it's mission-based, not money-based. But we would really, truly support, and it's for everybody here. But we would really, truly appreciate your support in following our pages and just helping us reach more people.
Because Lord knows we've lost a lot of followers. My bad, Troy. We've lost a lot of followers for just trying to unite. Go ahead, Troy.
No, I was just going to say you can catch us every Thursday at 8 p.m. on the Molly Croc Show because most of us are here too.
Every Thursday at 8 p.m.
And that's a fucking blast. I got to tell you, brother.
We get into everything there. We don't just isolate
everything. Hey, dude, I'll tell you, was it last week? Something happened. Everything was fucked up. No, it was the week before last week. Everything was fucked up. People were in and out and losing connection and this and that. I was holding up signs because I got left. It was at one point it was just me and Laura on Troy's show, and then he came back out of the fucking blue with an alligator or a crocodile or some shit. It's a wild ride. So Motley Croc Show every Thursday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. You're definitely gonna want to fucking catch that show.
And don't forget, I do a 9 a.m. coffee talk on Facebook, 9 a.m. Eastern, throw on some music, bullshit about current events, whatever. Just kind of get people's minds to change, to be happy so that they can go about and enjoy their day. I also do a life coach live at Conquering Demons and Healing Hearts on Facebook at 420. It is 420 friendly. Troy.
Huck, I want to give you an extra shout out because of what you do, because you literally, there's so many people that do live shows and it's just because they want to get noticed. I know you, and you have one of the most beautiful fucking hearts I've ever met in my life. You actually do your live show so that you can make other people feel heard. And you engage with them. That's your whole show, is to engage with people because you actually do stand behind what you say you want to do, and that's bring people together. I love it.
Absolutely.
So we will do another show together. We absolutely will. We do it every week anyways, but we'll do another one. I'd love to come on Savage's show. We have a great time.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm here for it.
Savagely Loud, we're doing some scheduling, shifts because we've started now doing the live show on Sunday night every Sunday night at 7 p.m. Central. We do the live show, Savagely Loud with me and Dave. We are going to get back to the guest shows, but because there's been so many organizational issues and trying to figure out StreamYard and live streaming and how we can actually run the show, because we're used to running the show, pre-recorded, so we don't have all the comments, we don't have all the crowd work, and we're just still learning how to do that.
I love crowd work.
Yeah, and I do too. I'm live shows are my favorite, and I've already told Dave that there is a very good chance that all of our shows will be moving to live shows.
Hell yeah!
And then we'll post them on Spotify and Facebook.
Let's fucking go.
And I was going to wait to probably say this, but the Hammer Drops is going to start going live as well. That's still in the works, and I'm going to be talking a lot about paganism through modern day society through a Norse lens as well. So
that's pretty cool. That'd be cool.
If you're ever truly curious, for all of you out there, about Norse paganism and the breakdowns of it in small palatable bits, follow the Hammer Drops, because Dave is doing a fucking fantastic job of laying out parts of this so that you can actually digest it. So follow him and watch his shit.
Absolutely. And please, for the love of God, just go to my YouTube. All right, I think it's at TH3 Real Huckleberry 420. Just go up there and watch for a few damn minutes. All right, it'll take me 10 years to get to 4,000 fucking watch hours.
On behalf of everybody here, we truly appreciate you sitting for this past 2 hours, almost 2.5 hours now, listening to the information we're putting out, and really looking at this with an understanding lens, understanding that we want to bring everybody together, but in order to do that, we have to get to the truth of things. And I want to thank everybody on the show. I want to thank Dave and Laura and Troy and Huck, because without all of you guys, this show particularly this one, would have never been possible without all of you guys interacting and engaging and using what you have in your hearts and your minds to extend that great thing, all of that greatness to the people on here. You guys really fucking made this show absolutely fucking amazing.
Absolutely.
And I appreciate
Thanks,
every
man.
last one of
Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Roll
Cliff.
this motherfucker.
All right, we out, folks. Have a great Saturday night.
See ya.